Well, good morning. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And back with us for a Friday edition of the program is our chief grand poobah here at PressBox, Stan the Fan Charles. Good morning.
One last time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like before the grave? What are you doing here? I thought now how does this work?
Yeah.
So do you get the winner of the Tyson Paul fight, but when is that? That's going to be like in April. You'll be taking on the winner of that fight.
That's exactly right.
It's pretty good timing, man. That's
me and Boogie.
The two of you.
The Boogie
wait,
and I will take
it's a
one.
2-on-1 type of situation?
Yeah, it's a tag team.
I'm actually fascinated.
It won't be two at a time against one.
No.
It'll be a tag team.
No, you get in there, you throw until you're tired out.
I run away.
And then 3 seconds later, you tag Boogie
in
and he just keeps repeating for 3-second intervals.
Yeah, that's
until they catch up with you. That's the way that it works. All right, Stan's here. We will get you ready, obviously, for Ravens Steelers. We've been doing 8 days worth of Ravens Steelers here, so
Good 8 days, yeah.
What's that?
Good 8 days.
Yeah, we've had a lot this week. Bo will join us. Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, a little bit later on this hour.
Is this Steelers week?
Yeah, believe it or not, they're going to do that on Sunday. That's happening. We'll also talk a little Orioles this morning. Karl Ravech was tweeting about the Birds this week, so we will get his thoughts on what they should be doing this offseason. And look, hi. Look, I want you to look at me. Look at me. Look at me. This is dad time now, okay? I'm quite aware that there are reports that Arthur Maulet was in a walking boot after practice yesterday.
What do you know?
I don't know anything.
What?
And if I do, I'm not telling you.
What?
We went through this last year. This shouldn't be new. If I know something...
Was there an Arthur Maulet show
There
last
wasn't
year?
an Arthur Maulet show last year, Stan. There was a different show, and it was a thing. When I know something that you're allowed to know, I'll share it. But I'm going to guess it'll probably come from somebody else first. That's just my guess, is that someone else will probably share it first, given my relationship with Arthur. I don't know anything. I know he was listed as a limited participant in practice yesterday. If you want to infer something, a lot of times when there is a serious practice injury, one of the big national reporters will dive in, get the information, and report it before the next day. So maybe the fact that there hasn't been like an Adam Schefter tweet about it would suggest that it's maybe not as bad as some people reacting to it. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything. Here's what I know. We're going to bring you segment number 3 of the Arthur Maulet Show with Tavius Robinson from this week later on today. We are scheduled to be at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill on Tuesday night on Hartford Road for the next Arthur Maulet Show. PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet. If any of that were to change, we'll talk about it. But right now, business as usual until we hear otherwise. The good news yesterday was that Kyle Hamilton was on the practice field. And, apparently looked good and looked like himself. And so that's very encouraging because that could be very important for Sunday. I would like to have both of them out there, but, we'll see how it goes.
Is there any chance that people listening to the last segment of the Arthur Maulet Show from the other night will be able to infer anything about his health?
Considering the injury apparently happened 2 days after we taped the Arthur Maulet Show. I'm just going to guess
that they're not going to be.
Probably
Could
not.
Could be something in his voice.
Like he just knows something is coming.
There's a premonition.
Something like that. That's where we are. If it becomes relevant, if we need to talk about it, we'll talk about it. In the meantime, it's obviously nobody wants to see someone in a walking boot, but who was it a couple weeks ago that was in a walking boot after a game?
Marlon Humphrey, right?
Now, he missed a game afterwards.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Marlon Humphrey did, but he missed one game, right? Like, he didn't miss the season. He wasn't done for the way that people. I got to tell you, man, I love you guys that are on the beat. And I'm not talking about Bo. I don't think Bo did this, but there are a couple of them that were like teammates consoling him. Like they were acting like someone had lost a family member, and nobody had any actual information. I know that it's just a little icky in those situations. If you don't know, you don't know. Here's what I can tell you. Otherwise, I don't know. And that's exactly what I don't know anything. I know that he was seen in a walking boot after practice yesterday, and he was listed on the practice report as being a limited participant in practice.
You're like the guy in Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah,
I know nothing.
I know nothing. That's exactly where I'm at. Yeah. And again, whatever I do know, I probably can't tell you, much like we dealt with a year ago. So that's where we're at. All right? Cool? Capiche? Thank you. Now, on to Ravens-Steelers. That's where we're at. Sunday, the Ravens and Steelers play in Pittsburgh. We've been talking about it all week. Stan and I made our picks yesterday, and we both think the Baltimore Ravens will go on the road and be victorious in Pittsburgh on Sunday.
I knew nothing about the potential of Arthur Maulet.
Did that change everything for you? And now
it could have.
But then when we talked yesterday, we didn't know if Kyle Hamilton was going to be playing.
That is correct, sir.
The flips.
That is correct, sir.
That is correct, sir.
Kind of evens out, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Like I would say maybe even.
Yeah, thought it was probably like
more sweat.
I'm not gonna.
I thought it was like a 75-80%er that he wasn't going to play.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's where a lot of us were after he didn't come back into the game. So it's very encouraging that he was on the field and looked good. And if he's back out on the practice field today, you presume that means he's
that Jackson guy's going to play though.
Now that guy I hear is good.
Yeah,
good
to go.
I hear that guy is the guy that you want to have on the practice field. You and I talked about it a bit yesterday. I am struggling with because from a football standpoint, I genuinely believe the matchup almost heavily favors the Ravens.
I agree.
Just looking at what it is, what the Steelers do well offensively is not the Ravens' weakness, aside from just when Russell Wilson just tosses the ball up in the air and hopes for the best, and you would say, hey, the Ravens' cornerbacks haven't been great in those situations.
Right.
But their overall offensive game plan of setting up the run to use the pass is not specifically the Ravens' area of weakness. What they don't do is throw the ball, try to use the deep middle of the field, and that's where the Ravens have been the intermediate middle of the field. That's where the Ravens have been most vulnerable defensively. That's where their safeties have been, in particular, a problem this season. So that, to me, is benefit ticks into the Ravens' box. Offensively, the Steelers, for as aggressive in pursuit of the quarterbacks as they are, the Ravens are really good against the blitz. Really historically good against the blitz. I'm not scared of the football matchup, but Stan...
How about will we be able to run the football? Will Derrick Henry, if we get a lead of, say, 13-3 or something like that, and I think it's the second half.
I think the first question is, will they commit to running the football? Because,
I think they will in the second half if they have a lead.
Oh, I think that we have sseen more of that with the exception.
That's kind of coaching 101, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. I don't know how much we want to talk about this. Yes, I agree that it's coaching 101. The two intangibles that concern me. One, again, as I said, I am concerned about those moon balls and the Ravens cornerbacks because he'll just put them out there and look, if you're not in coverage, if you're not there to make a play, George Pickens is going to make the play. Like, he's proven that time and time again this season since Russell Wilson has put those balls out there. But the intangibles are the two things that concern me. The first being just the nature of playing in Pittsburgh and the number of times that I have gone to games in Pittsburgh, the number of times that I have watched games in Pittsburgh and just watched teams that are otherwise functional forget how to football whenever you play there. And a year ago, it was every Ravens receiver deciding in unison that they had no interest in catching the football. They decided, we'll make the trip, but our hands are staying home in Baltimore. I don't know how to... And by the way, even without catching any football, it still came down to the final 2 minutes for them to lose that game. But that's the type of crap that tends to happen in Pittsburgh that you can't explain. The Ravens last year did not have a hands problem as a football team. They were very good at catching the ball last year, except for one game. In one game, they forgot how to catch. All of them in unison forgot how to catch. And then the other thing is the Mike Tomlin factor, and you can't hide from it. As much as the dude drives you crazy, as much as I'll never forget him literally attempting to trip Jacoby Jones on the sideline, which is a thing that happened no matter how much we tried to gaslight it over the years.
Yep.
As much as you think about that, you also recognize he's probably, other than Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of the era. He has gotten more it's unfair to say he's gotten more with less, because when they had Roethlisberger, Bell, and Brown, the talent was ungodly.
Yeah.
It's just that the insanity was also overwhelming, and he was able to get him to play kumbaya in order to get along and compete, despite the fact
he's a terrific coach.
He's an unbelievable coach, and he has an incredible ability of getting you to do what he wants you to do in order for his team to have a chance to win, of getting you to say, you're not coming in here and playing your style of football, you're playing whatever it is that we want to do. And I don't know if we call it voodoo. I don't know how it continues to work every time, but the number of teams that are willing to go along with it and say,
what is their record against one another, Harbaugh and
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Slight advantage, Pittsburgh?
Oh, it's definitely big, but some of that is because of the last 4 years have skewed everything.
Yeah.
Everything has been skewed by the fact that in the last 4 years, the Steelers are currently 7-1 in the last 4 years, despite the fact that, like, most of them were irrelevant games or games in which the Ravens either had already clocked up and had no interest in playing Week 18, or had half their team out due to COVID, or were without Lamar Jackson or whatever it was.
Right.
Lamar Jackson has played in 4 of those games.
4 of the 8 games. Right.
Like, it's in fact, Lamar Jackson's played in 4 games total in his career
against the
Steelers. He started. That's unfair. I guess in the 2018 season, he was still doing the gimmick stuff in those games. But he started 4 games. Since he entered the league in 2018, he has started 4 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's bizarre. It's anomaly. It's why when everybody's doing the bit this week where they're like, well, it seems like the Steelers have the Ravens number. Yeah, if you only look at they're 7-1 in the last 8 games. If you're not here,
how many of those games was Lamar in?
Were they even real football games?
Yes.
Like that. Yes, if you only look at that, you'll feel that way, or you'll see they're 3-1 against Lamar Jackson, and you'll dismiss the fact that again a year ago in that game, Lamar Jackson was the highest-rated quarterback in the NFL in the game in Pittsburgh last season. It's just that literally all of the guys on his team, including Mark Andrews, who's one of the most sure-handed receivers in modern NFL history, all decided on that day they didn't want to catch the balls that were thrown right to them.
Is there any truth to the rumor that they put ketchup on the balls there?
And the it's not called Heinz Field anymore, you know.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. They got a new corporate sponsor.
They used to put ketchup on the balls, though.
Yes, correct. In that era, they 100% did all the time. I don't. What's the new corporate sponsor?
Acrisure?
Acrisure, that's right.
That's right. I remember.
Stadium
The insurance
is
company.
now the name of the stadium in Pittsburgh.
Since 2008, the Ravens are 14-18. Against the Steelers.
That's actually closer to 500 than I would have expected it to be. Given
Harbaugh versus Tomlin?
Yeah, that's when Harbaugh came in and Tomlin had been the year before. So.
Right.
I would have thought it would have been more lopsided than that,
2
honestly.
survivors, I'll tell you that.
Look, Mike Tomlin still never had a losing season in Pittsburgh, which is, amazing. There's no doubt about it. And John Harbaugh's only losing seasons in there were the years where he didn't have his quarterback.
If you go back to before the pandemic, so like before 2020, because they're 1-7 since then. Like then and they're 13-11 against
That's really kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
That's really. I know we don't. This is the goofy bit. You don't get to pretend like this doesn't count.
Right.
Like the record is the record. But again, accepting how many of these were not real football games in the last 8 years, and there's a million different reasons for it. It's kind of remarkable that John Harbaugh had a 13-11 record against Mike Tomlin going into 2000. That's with Ben Roethlisberger.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's really kind of amazing.
Yeah.
For the John Harbaugh haters, that's
Flacco played some really good games in Pittsburgh.
Some great games in Pittsburgh, no question about it. Obviously, they only won 1 playoff game against the Steelers. But at that point, the 2 of them only matched up 3 times in the playoffs. The first Ravens-Steelers Pittsburgh playoff game was still in the Billick-Cowher era, the year after Super Bowl 35. But then they had 3. Am I right about that?
They've had 3. Yeah, you're.
So that was the record. Championship game.
So I was actually looking at the regular season record. So they're 15-20.
So if you include the playoffs,
yes. If you
include the playoffs, he's 15-20 all time against Mike Tomlin.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I'm actually, again, knowing what I know about how the last 4 years have gone and how bizarre the Ravens, counting the last 4 years are, I'm actually somewhat impressed by that, honestly. And I think there were a couple in there that Ben Roethlisberger didn't play because Ben Roethlisberger always was hurt for like 3 games every season.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember there being a win in Pittsburgh that they didn't get until late in the game.
Was the TJ Houshmandzadeh
That was
one?
when he won. Then he caught the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben Roethlisberger played in that game, and they still needed a dramatic come-from-behind drive late. Now they also lost to Charlie Batch at home, so sometimes best laid plans of mice and men. It is what it is. Sometimes they also won a game against the Steelers at home.
It was
using
October 3rd, 2010 was the Houshmandzadeh.
That was
game.
the Houshmandzadeh game,
Yeah.
and then 2015 where they started Jimmy Clausen.
Wait.
The mustard pants.
Oh,
game.
yes. Yeah.
Was
it January 3rd? Wait. That was December 27th.
December 27th
2015.
of 2015.
They won 2017.
And it was Clausen?
I believe it was.
Or was it another?
Or was it Schaub? I don't know.
Because they
Or
tried
Schaub got
Clausen,
hurt.
Schaub, and Maulet that year. So it was. I think it was Clausen.
It was
though.
Maulet, actually.
It was Maulet.
Maulet had 200. He outplayed Ben Roethlisberger.
The late great Ryan Maulet, may he rest in peace. Very sad. But the Ravens legend Ryan Maulet once defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers wearing mustard pants.
Who would he?
They were
played
4-10
for the
going in.
Texans.
I
Or
think
the
he had, but
Falcons.
he was definitely with the Patriots for a minute.
Oh, that's right. He was a Patriot.
And he,
I
but he
think
was.
in the
I think you're right. I
Texans.
think he was somewhere else.
Yeah,
I do
I
think
think
that
it was
do the
he might have gone with one of the many Patriots assistants that went to Houston over the years.
Yeah,
And-
New England, Houston, and Baltimore, and they went back to Houston and then back to Baltimore. And
Well, I don't remember that. I don't remember there being a second Ryan Maulet.
he
stint
started.
in
Apparently, he
Baltimore.
played 6 games with the Texans as well in 2015, and also played 2 games with the Ravens in 2015.
It was a hell of a year
Okay,
for
so
Ryan Maulet.
so he didn't go back. He did stay. He stayed in Baltimore for 3
But
seasons.
to the point, he beat them wearing the worst pants in the history of football that I've ever. The worst uniform combination. Well, that's not true. The Steelers Bumblebees were probably the worst uniform combination.
So Ryan
I've
Maulet
ever
threw
seen.
for a touchdown and had 274 yards. Roethlisberger threw 2 interceptions, only 220 yards.
You know what the real thing would be? Would be to ask who all caught passes for the Ravens in that game.
Well, let's go ahead.
Let's do that.
Yeah, good luck.
I caught a couple.
No, that was the year everybody was
They
hurt.
had 2 different running backs with 5 receptions.
Oh, for God's sakes. We might, because I only
Who
know
were the running backs?
Well, you tell me.
Buck Allen.
Buck Allen had 5 catches for 35 yards.
Kenneth Dixon.
No, not Kenny Dixon.
Oh boy.
Was it more of a name player?
He is still in the league. He's not a Raven.
Still in the league? Who the hell is still in the league that was a 2015 Raven?
And maybe I'm saying running back, tongue in cheek, but
because it's Kyle Juszczyk.
it's Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, that's bull.
I'm
That's bull.
I'm the
Calling
bad guy
Kyle
here.
Juszczyk
He was a running back.
He was a fullback.
He had 5 catches
It's a
for
different
55 yards.
position. All right, how many tight ends caught passes?
I mean, I don't even.
You don't even know who.
Oh,
these-
1.
One.
What position was this guy?
Oh, how many other guys caught passes in that game?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
The leading receiver had 8 catches for 66 yards.
Was Kamar Aiken?
That was Kamar Aiken, 8 catches, 66 yards.
Chris Givens.
Chris Givens had 2 catches for 50 yards, 45 yards.
The host of Hardball, Chris Matthews.
Chris Matthews had 3 catches. Actually had a touchdown catch.
You guys rehearsed
Yeah,
this.
I did. This is a bit. Butler.
Yep. What was his first name?
Started with a J. It started with a J, right?
It did.
Okay. So this is going to be really stupid. It's one of 2 things. It's either John or Jeremy.
It is one of those.
Jeremy.
It is Jeremy. Jeremy Butler.
I thought it was Jeremy. There's a musical act called the John Butler Trio, and I didn't think he shared a name with the John Butler Trio, but all right. Anyway, sorry. Thank you. So how
2
many are we
professional
missing?
seasons for Jeremy Butler. Yeah.
How many are we missing?
We're missing one more, the tight end in this game.
There was a tight end who caught a pass.
Mm-hmm. 2 passes.
Caught 2 passes into the 2015 Mustard Pants Ravens Steelers game.
Yep.
Oh man, that wasn't the year for Ben Watson, was it?
Was I mean, maybe it was. I'm not sure, but it was.
Damn.
He was not the one in this with this reception or 2 receptions.
I don't know. That predates Max Williams.
Does it?
It's Max Williams,
It's Max
really?
Williams. Max Williams had 2 catches.
Wow, I thought that would have predated Max Williams.
He was the tight end
from Minnesota,
with 2 X's, right?
Yep, 2 X's, exactly right.
Max XX.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Big Max Williams fan.
Zach Orr to tackle in
Love
this
Max
game.
Williams. How about that? Maybe we can carry that. I don't know why we just did that, but it was entertaining.
Let's just go over every single Ravens-Steelers game that we remember.
2015 was a brutal, brutal year, man. Like, that was as bad as it got. Everybody was hurt.
They went 2-0 against the Steelers. That's all that mattered.
It's so wild, right? Like, go explain that in the history. 2015 was by far and away the worst year of the John Harbaugh era, and they went 2-0 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which goes back to the intangibles that I'm concerned about going to Pittsburgh. It's just a place where bizarre things
Going into
happen.
that game that we just did, the Ravens were 4-10. The Steelers were 9-5.
That was the same year where, of course, we talked about it yesterday with Marlon Brown, or at some point this week we talked about the game where
with Dave, I think, with Damashek.
Oh, with Damashek. They were 0-3.
Yep.
And then they played the Thursday night game in Pittsburgh in Week 4.
So 2 3-point wins in this 5-11 season.
Go figure. Go figure how that works. Go.
You want to do the Hushmanzada game?
No, I don't want to do that, Griffin. We already did that exercise for today.
Charlie Batch started that game, by the way.
That was a Charlie Batch start.
Yeah.
He almost beat them twice.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
October 2010.
God damn. He had the Ravens number, didn't he? He had the Ravens number. That's
a spunky.
Well, he was it's funny because before Matt Stafford got there, he was arguably the Lions' best quarterback in 30 years, right? Like he was actually quite competent.
He was probably the best quarterback they had after Greg Landry.
Arguably, arguably, and that again,
he was serviceable.
He was serviceable in an era of quarterbacking before the Kurt Warner, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, era.
Right.
This is the era where Trent Dilfer could win a Super Bowl. There was an era of quarterback play that just wasn't as overwhelming. The Neil O'Donnells of the world could take you to the Super Bowl. You could be competitive with that type of player. Right. Even the 3 quarterbacks that won. I mean, Joe Theismann was.
So Batch was Font's main quarterback, wasn't he? Wayne Fonts?
Yeah, he was after Bobby Ross. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think that lines up. Scott Mitchell also was there for a while before he came to Baltimore, and again had moderate success in Detroit.
He was so big.
Oh, he was awful. He
was so big.
Oh yeah, that too.
Jeez.
He was also he was a big boy. He was a big boy. But yeah, Charlie Batch was a decent, in that era of players, Chad Penningtons of the world that you could win football games with. Charlie Batch was a decent quarterback in Detroit and just became a backup in Pittsburgh. I don't know how we got there. I'm nervous, but I do think from a football standpoint, it's a game the Ravens should win. That's where I'm at for Sunday, from a pure football standpoint.
Well, I think we'll find something out about this team on Sunday, about the Ravens. I agree with you. I think they should take care of business. And I think it being Steelers week, I don't think they're susceptible to a lapse like the Cleveland game, where I think they just felt, we're going into Cleveland.
Right. No, I don't. To your point, I don't think that's why they would lose this game. If they lose this game, it's more likely to be the defense is that much of an albatross, a panic, a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. That my belief that they are capable of winning despite their defense would maybe have to be revisited if that's the way this goes. I mean, if they're giving up 38 points to the Steelers, then
there's major
100%.
Yeah.
It is panic at the disco at that point.
Rob Burnett's out there.
Yes, he is out there. You're right.
How old is Rob? 60?
He's got to be 50.
58,
I was going to say 54 was going to be my call for Rob Burnett.
Yeah, it's probably closer.
Rob Burnett.
I'm going to say 56.
All right. Closest. Look at you, Stan. 57. 57 for Rob Burnett.
Hines.
I saw somebody say this week that the Ravens should sign Frank Clark. I was like, when did Frank Clark even last play football? I didn't realize he was still in the NFL last year. He hasn't had a sack since 2022.
Fit 31. Nicely with this.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you. Is he really only 31 years old?
He is only 31.
Oh, I'm stunned by that. Somebody else made that argument. I don't remember who we talked to recently that suggested they needed to try to sign a Sean Merriman suggested they needed to try to sign a street free agent. Just to say, look, you're
we're
not
trying.
right. We're doing something, but I just have. We can say
10 to
all you
15
want
snaps.
about how they pulled guys off last year at the scrap heap and
Is
got
there any
production
chance
out of
that
them.
Frank Clark's been playing football in like Korea?
It's
or
a great. I
Japan,
don't think so. I'm
or
pretty
Mexico,
sure, right?
you know.
You're trying to suggest that they're doing the Albert Suarez bit, and
About
that's
30,
how that-
Exactly.
37-year-old Ndamukong Suh.
Sure. When was Ndamukong Suh last in the NFL? It is wild to me that he's only 37. I got to be honest with you. The fact that Calais Campbell is still playing, like he's 39 now, right? And we were itching to trade for Calais Campbell. The Ravens were apparently in trade talks
With the
the
Dolphins.
Dolphins
So
about
win that game
Calais
Monday night.
Campbell.
Like,
Sean Merriman's only a year older than Calais Campbell.
so him.
Blew
maybe,
my
maybe
mind.
that was him pitching.
Right.
Come, give me
Yeah,
a call.
street free agent. I could think of one.
He did say it. Chuck Smith. If Chuck Smith calls me,
That
I
was
will.
his guy. That was his pass rush coach.
He last played with the Eagles.
Who did?
Sue.
In what year?
2022.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I'll pass. All right, we come back in.
He
Bo
won a Super Bowl the year prior with the
Great.
Bucks.
Great. When we come back in, Bo Smolka will join us. We'll get his thoughts on Ravens, Steelers.
And Ndamukong Suh. And
No, I don't think we're going to run any questions by him about Ndamukong Suh. I don't think that's going to be the case. We are in playoffs or even championship season in fall sports at the high school level. The MIA football championships are this weekend. Spalding McDonough for the A, right behind us for the A conference title. I believe it's.
I'll go with Spalding.
You're going to go with Spalding. Bold.
No offense to McDonough, but
And, of course, the public schools are in the playoffs in football as well. Find out more about all of that right now by going to countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Bo's next. Stands here. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
the ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
PressBox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/gameday or PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/game day.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
In here on GCRs and continue along on
some guy.
It could be Griffin. Griffin could just tweet, I think the Orioles should sign Justin Verlander, and all of a sudden tomorrow on sportingnews.com, headline, Orioles set to pursue.
He probably wouldn't use his real name.
Oh, you think he would do one of those?
Use a nom de plume.
He was trying to fight with the University of Maryland baseball account on Twitter yesterday.
Trying to fight.
This is a weird dude over here. Like,
they're scared.
It's a weird
just
dude.
Finding that
there.
out.
I mean, this was a weird dude.
I warned you when you hired him.
God, a weird dude trying to fight with the University of Maryland baseball team. Weirdo. Anyway, Stan, you had a good show this week.
I did.
Yeah, with Vinny Serrato.
I did.
Yeah.
Vinny Serrato.
Tell everybody about it.
Gary Stein was going to join us, but Gary was a little under the weather. So Vinny and I did it, and it's an odd angle of Vinny, though. He's in his car, and he's like got the phone up.
Okay.
It's very odd.
Okay.
But his content is always very, very good.
So you can find that right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Video, not Vinny.
Video.
I guess because it's Vinny, it's the whole thing. But Stan and Vinny Serrato talking Ravens.
And talking the league and coaches that are.
You can find that right now in all of those locations. It's brought to you by the Costas Inn. It's a Friday. Every Friday on GCR, we catch up with our Ravens beat writer. He is Bo Smolka, and he is with us now here on GCR. Bo, good morning. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Everything is all right. Obviously, it's been a long time between football games, so I'm kind of ready for there to be another football game to talk about at this point. That said, Bo, it's weird. I have this strange feeling. I am not concerned about the tangibles as much as the intangibles. From an X's and O's standpoint, I actually think the Ravens match the things that the Steelers do particularly well outside of, just tossing the ball up and getting in one-on-one coverage, and, then you don't have a lot of trust in the Ravens cornerbacks. But the things that they've been doing well this season, running the football to set up the pass, those are the things the Ravens do well to stop. It's just that this is Pittsburgh. This is Mike Tomlin. I've seen way too many of these games to have any comfort whatsoever about what it is the Ravens are going to do on Sunday.
I mean, it's all fair. You're right on the level. And another thing is, I was looking at Russell Wilson's kind of spray chart, as we call it in baseball, where he throws the ball, and he doesn't really throw the ball a lot over the middle.
Nope.
And John Harbaugh said last week, absolutely middle of the field is the number one problem they have. The Ravens, that is. And so it feels like if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm on that offense this week, and I'm Pittsburgh, I am figuring out ways to get the ball over the middle of the field. I don't care if I haven't done it all year yet. It's where the Ravens are vulnerable. It's the soft spot in their defense, of a very soft defense. And I would attack that if I were the Steelers. But you're right, in some ways the matchup is favorable for the Ravens. But as you say, I mean, this is the Steelers. One thing the Steelers have shown, is they have ultimately, so far, figured out Lamar Jackson. He has his lowest passer rating of his career against them. He's 1-3 as a starter. And I think with them, it always starts with their pressure. And that's not a good matchup situation for the Ravens. Now, Highsmith is out, and that's a big loss for the Steelers. But the Ravens need to handle the pressure. In Jackson's 4 starts against Pittsburgh, he's been sacked 20 times, including 7 in one game. And if they get pressure and if they get to Jackson, then that changes everything.
Ironically, of course, the Ravens being the best team in the league against the blitz this season because Lamar Jackson's just been good at everything. But I read you writing about that. It's weird for me because there is an element of truth to what you're saying because those numbers are real. But at the same time, we also know what happened in the game last year against Pittsburgh. Lamar Jackson was the highest-rated quarterback in the league that week. He just had all of his receivers in one game decide at the same time they didn't have any interest in catching the football. And that's the weird part about, like, this thing does weigh. Like, he has to write his chapter. He has a win over the Steelers, but he didn't play well in the win that he has over the Steelers. He's largely not played in the games. It's insane that we're talking about someone that's been in the league this long and has only ever played 4 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's nuts. So all of that is true, but it's as much to me anomaly as it is anything else when it comes to the Lamar Jackson Steelers history.
That's true, and I'll say this: they can get to Jackson without blitzing is one thing. Now I don't know if they will. You know, Watt is a game record, and we know that, and we got to worry about him at all times. And I don't care. He could rush one and get to the quarterback. But you're right. And last year was such a weird game. They dropped 7 passes. They should have had touchdowns when they didn't get them. They forced an interception late, and they went 42 minutes without scoring. And it was interesting yesterday. Todd Monken was asked a question during his news conference, and he just kind of blanked, and he didn't answer. He said, well, I'm sorry, can you ask that again? And the reason he blanked is because a question earlier, he had been asked about the Steelers game last year, and he was still so bothered by it. And he said, we owe them one. We just didn't play well. And he's right. They dropped passes all over. And if you remember, another one of the losses came when they scored and went for 2.
Right.
And right at the end of the game, it was the day that Marlon Humphrey got hurt and was lost for the rest of the season. And John Harbaugh came after the game and said, you know, we went for 2 because we knew we were going to be short at cornerback with Humphrey out. And then it was Watt coming off the edge, pass to Andrews falls incomplete, and they lose. But these games always come down, it seems. These games so often come down to one score and a tight game. But you're right. It's also very odd that Jackson's only started 4 games against the Steelers in his career. Now, 2 of them he played his rookie year. Flacco was still the starter, and then he missed games with injuries. He missed games for COVID. He missed games because he sat out because the regular season was wrapped up. But that's strange. He's only played 4 games against them. So to your point, when they don't drop passes, his rating is surely better than it is right now. Last game was weird. But, you know, for better or for worse, the Ravens have lost 7 of 8 to Pittsburgh. And that, to some extent, that has to be in heads.
Bo, 2 questions for me. Where do you think the Ravens' mindset is on running the football from the get-go? Or are they so enamored with what they're able to do passing the ball now that you think they'll pass first and kind of try and get the lead and then use Derrick Henry a lot in the second half?
I mean, it's a good question. Obviously, you know, you have Derrick Henry. You'd like to think you're going to use him a lot. The Steelers are a pretty good run defense. It seems what we've seen so far and what we've seen of this Ravens team now is they'll go through stretches in the middle of the game where Derrick Henry just kind of disappears. And whether that's saving him for later in the game or whether it's the way the game flows, and then they turn him loose in the fourth quarter against a tired defense. We've seen that happen a few times. I just think this defense, the more I watch this team, the more I just think play action with Derrick Henry is just so effective. Mm-hmm. And you've got him in there. You think about if you're a linebacker or if you're Deshaun Elliott, right? The Steelers safety loves to hit. Well, you got Derrick Henry coming on a handoff, except it's not a handoff. It's a fake handoff. But you get those linebackers moving 2 steps toward the line of scrimmage, and now Jackson can drop the ball over them to Rashad Bateman in space. And that's kind of the thing that they want to do, and I think that can be effective doing that, especially against this Pittsburgh defense. But, you know, we'll see. I think that's part of what goes into their planning when it comes to the play action or the run versus pass. It's just the play. You know, Derrick Henry just is such a threat that I think play action is really effective for them when Jackson's delivering the ball to the spot and on time, and he's been doing that a lot more often than not this year.
On the defensive side of the ball, Kyle Hamilton, how surprised are you that he was on the practice field yesterday, and does it look like he's a go?
I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see him. I'll be honest with you. I thought he would not see him this week. He's a tough dude. And so, I mean, he's one of those guys I think you probably have to strap to a chair to keep him from playing. And I think he's going to try to play. Now, I expect we'll have John Harbaugh will be vague today, and he'll say we'll have a look. Sometimes I'll trot a guy out there to practice a little bit and kind of show him as a possibility of playing. I think, well, Hamilton, I thought he was moving pretty well. And you have to ask, is Hamilton at 70% better than other options at 100%? And the only thing you have to worry about is if you play him here and you exacerbate an injury, do you lose him for several weeks? And that's the worry. But I saw him out there. I thought he was moving okay, and I think he'll probably go. The other thing that came out yesterday was Arthur Maulet was in the locker room with a walking boot after practice, and that is kind of an interesting development because if Hamilton were not able to go or they want to limit him to some extent, you would think Maulet would be one of the guys they might use in the slot, and that could complicate things if he's not available.
He is Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, and obviously we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on with Arthur Maulet today. That said, Bo, one name that I guess could be part of the equation, what's your expectation for what role there might be for Tre'Davious White?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they're short on corners, he's going to probably have a role. It's interesting because he hadn't really had a role in Los Angeles before he got traded. He had been an inactive for 3 or 4 straight weeks. John Harbaugh saw him more as an outside cornerback. I think if Hamilton's not available, we'll probably see more of Marlon Humphrey in the slot, but that puts Stevens and Wiggins as the outside guys against Pickens, and that's going to be a challenge for either of them. But, yeah, I think we might see Tre'Davious White again. It's going to come down to a numbers game and who's available and how many snaps they can play and who can play where. But it's definitely possible. I think we'll see him. I think we'll see him at some point, especially with questions with other defensive backs. I don't know how much yet, but I think we'll see him. One thing that Griffin and I were talking about earlier in the week, it's interesting, maybe the subtext for me about the game that Tylan Wallace had last week, and I don't know if we'll look back on that as like the one Tylan Wallace game or the day that he became part of the – I don't know how we're going to look at it. But with Deontay Johnson now in the fold and with Deontay Hardy set to return, I don't know if they all stay healthy that there are roster spots for all of them. And I do wonder if – like Tylan Wallace might have been on the chopping block a little bit and needed that type of performance to maybe make them say perhaps Deontay Hardy isn't as needed when he returns. I just don't know that there are spots for all of these guys if they all stay healthy. I mean, I'll say that people have been saying that about Tylan Wallace for 4 years. Like, I don't know if there's a spot for Tylan Wallace. And there always is, and he always comes through when he's asked to do something. So, I mean, I would be surprised if Tylan Wallace goes away. I will say also, Todd Monken was asked yesterday about Deontay Johnson, and he said, yeah, we hope to get him more involved. But he also acknowledged that, no one else has gone away. So the question is, how do you find all the time and all the snaps for everyone that wants all the snaps? And the math isn't there to get everyone in as much as they all want to get in. I do think we'll see Deontay Johnson some more this week. But again, it's if he's on the field, someone's coming off the field. And then you have to figure out how that's going to look. Isaiah Likely, there was some question about him, but he's moving well now. I think he'll be back. So there's a lot of choices, and that's, for now, a nice problem to have. Yep. You're right about Deontay Hardy, but, I mean, I think Tylan Wallace has produced more as a receiver, so that's a plus. And Tylan Wallace does other things on special teams, so that's a plus. I mean, I just feel like every year for training camp, it's Tylan Wallace. He's on the bubble. Is he going to make the team? And he always does, and then he comes through with a big play. So add into that mix that you just talked about that I think a lot of us would think that maybe you try to expand the role for Keaton Mitchell, but then it's the same question at the expense of what? Yeah, and again, it is the same thing. I mean, they haven't really used – think about when they had the third running back before. They really were no factor on offense. Right. And you could say, well, that was Chris Collier. It wasn't Keaton Mitchell, and that's a fair argument. And they may try to get Keaton Mitchell more involved on offense. And I think they like the idea of him getting the ball, especially out in space, whether it's on a bubble screen or something like that, where he can get moving and turn upfield with speed, or on the kick returns where they haven't really gotten much from. And Keaton Mitchell can be that guy. But yeah, I think they'd like to get him more involved, but it's all a matter of finding the spots for him. I feel like, Bo, it's I don't want to be too hyperbolic about this, but given the extra days of rest, given this 10 days, and given the way that that we've heard from defensive players over the last 10 days, they weren't even really enjoying the win last Thursday night, and the way that they've discussed it this week, is this week almost a bit of a requiem for this Ravens defense?
You've had extra time to prepare. This is not Joe Burrow that you're going up against. With no disrespect to Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow's a different guy. Is this almost a little bit of a moment where saying, look, if it's still as bad as it's been, then there might need to be, like, that, as crazy as it sounds to talk about shaking up a coach, like, do we need to have that conversation if after the extra time and playing an opponent that isn't an all-world quarterback, you still get the same results? We have to have bigger picture conversation.
I mean, it would be fair to have them if they go out and do it again what they did last time. And you're right. No one, the defensive players were, I mean, you rarely see the tone in that locker room that way after a win.
Right.
Marlon Humphrey held court and was, very critical of their own play on defense and said, we're never getting far in the playoffs if we play like this. And he took it on himself. He took it personally. Zach Orr yesterday said he was crushed leaving the stadium, and this is after a win, because their defense had been embarrassed, and there's no other way to say it. And so they knew it. They say, they said it every week, though. They've said, we've identified things we need to fix. Orr says yesterday we had a great meeting, film session with the players. A lot of good questions came up. We had a real candid, open conversation. And that's all fine, but they've said that before. We've heard that before this year. And the question is what will be fixed and when? Because as Zach Orr said, time's kind of starting to get short here. We're into November, and this is a big game. And if they were to go out and give up, 380 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air again, yeah, I think there are some serious questions that would have to be had. They're a hurting unit right now. Their pride is down, and they're kind of angry, and they know they need to be better. And the question is, what would make them better? What will make them better? They have who they have. They're not going out and getting anyone off the they're not trading for anyone. We're past the deadline. They got Tre'Davious White, but it's. I think if they get torched again, I think there would have to be some hard questions.
Bo, one question, and we've fought taking this seriously for much of the year, but what's your level of concern right now with Justin Tucker?
I mean, I think there has to be a level. I would say this. For the first time that I've been here for his whole career.
Right.
It's the first time he trots onto the field and you just don't think it's certain.
Yeah.
And that's just such a strange feeling. And, Chris Horton, the special teams coordinator, says, well, every kick is its own kick. There's clearly something systemic there. And someone asked him yesterday with this theory that maybe Jordan Stout's not holding as well as Sam Cook did. And Chris Horton said, look, we have Sam Cook on the staff here. If there's a problem there, Sam Cook is the best guy to know that. And he kind of dismissed that idea. But, yeah, there has to be concern. It's just the consistency is not there. And it's a weapon that they, for years, you said the Ravens have this weapon at kicker that no other team has. And you just don't say that anymore.
Bo, one question about it. It seems to me it's both accuracy and velocity. It seems some of the power is gone, and certainly with it, when it's not drilled quite as hard, it has the ability to get caught up in the wind a little bit. Do you see it that way, that it's both?
I don't know, because when I watch him warming up before games, and he's out there an hour or 90 minutes before games, he's got his kicking stand, and he's out there, and he's getting the ball. He's like, he'll kick it with his kicking stand 60 yards right from the logo and make them.
Right.
They're not going 52 yards into the end zone. I mean, that may be against the stiff wind it is, but last week he was kicking 60-yarders to both. He does it at both ends to kind of gauge. It is, the thing is, every single miss this year, if I'm not mistaken, every single miss has missed left. And, that's something that seems to me, you get a pattern like that, and I think that's something that warrants closer inspection. And I'm sure they have done it. They're not telling us what they found, but right. I'm sure they've done it. But I think every kick he's missed has missed to the left.
Bo, are you making the trip on Sunday?
Yes, I am.
At B. Smolka is where you'll be following him throughout the course of the game. Of course, PressBoxOnline.com is where you'll be reading about it afterwards.
But what's the weather like driving up there and driving back? And
Well, it's a believe me, I've driven through some bad weather going up there and back. This Sunday, last I saw, for the game, it's supposed to be cloudy and like low 50s, so a decent. As AFC North goes, it's practically Hawaii for November.
Because I made the assumption Colson's not letting you use the corporate jet.
No, I don't. I didn't get the corporate jet this weekend. No, I did not.
Okay. That's too bad.
He's busy.
That's too bad.
That's the unfortunate part. Bo Smolka, always appreciate you, sir. We'll talk to you again next Friday. Thank you for taking the time for us.
All right, you bet. Take care.
Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer. Apparently high of 60 in Pittsburgh on Sunday. High of 60.
You want to go?
Yeah, what the hell? Let's do
it.
This is Drew and I were talking about it. One of the weirder things, we knew we were going for the 2008 January of 2009 AFC Championship game.
Right.
We knew we were going. That was part of the plan. Our former employer was throwing a pregame party, and we were going to go glad hand at the party, and then we were going to go sit in the upper deck for the AFC Championship game. Right? Like that was the plan for that day. The day before the game, Drew calls me and says, "Meet me at the radio station at 5 a.m." And I said, "Dude, we have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day of the week. I would prefer to not have to wake up at 5 a.m. That just doesn't sound so appealing." He said, No. We're taking a limo to Pittsburgh. I said, "We're doing what now?" Apparently, a listener also drove limos and called Drew and said, "If you can get me into the game somehow, I'll give you guys a limo ride to Pittsburgh." And I said, wait.
I'll be there at 4.
Wait, what?
That's great.
Stan, we rode a limo from Baltimore to Pittsburgh for the AFC Championship.
And the dude got in the game.
The dude got in the game. I think what happened was Drew
snuck him over a fence.
I think Drew might have called Kevin Byrne and said, "Can I still get a credential for the game?" And then gave the dude his ticket
to get into the game.
And that was how he pulled off making this happen. And this guy, and I forgot his name, and I feel bad. Drew remembered it when I brought it up the other day. And we showed up at the radio station.
That's great.
And we rode a limo to and from. It didn't feel quite the same after the Ravens
Just the two
lost.
of you?
I believe.
Or did you have to include
I believe
3 or 4 others?
No, one. I believe one other person rode with us, but it was plenty comfortable. I slept on the way to Pittsburgh in this limo. Like it was.
So that one other person wasn't the other person.
I believe, unfortunately, that the owner of the radio station was on one. I don't think he was with us on the way back. I think he was only with us on the way there, if I remember correctly.
He flew back, I guess.
Yeah, probably the way that it worked. Probably the case. Yeah, that was wild, man. Hey, we're about to talk Orioles with Karl Ravech. I have some bad news. One of the starting pitchers that probably I think a lot of us would have been thinking about is off the market. It's not going to be a Cole Irvin reunion in Baltimore this year. He has
going overseas.
He is signed with the Doosan Bears.
Oh, I love the Doosan Bears. Cole Irvin Doosan Bears jersey is going to hit a
1-year deal for $1 million for the Doosan Bears.
How the mighty have
Cole
fallen.
Irvin as he's going to join
The
them.
question is Hernandez going to play with them with the Doosan Bears?
It's so funny you would say that because I have no idea. I have no clue. No clue. But
he'll probably join them there next year.
Right, at some point, yes. That day is coming for Hernandez, yes, but not right now. Cole Irvin, scratch him off the list then. Griffin, what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
You know what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel. You get $7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored during home games for Baltimore and Washington this season. Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine and are actively playing get their prize $7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored during said home games for Baltimore and Washington this season. So go
So there's
get out
none
there.
of those this Sunday.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately this week you would not be able to make any.
So you
any
could
free
put your
$7.
card in incorrectly this week.
Yeah, you could.
all good,
Yeah.
right?
You can go ahead and put it in
no
incorrectly.
risk,
There's no
you won't have to worry about missing
stretch.
out.
Don't have to practice, no.
But when they are home, be sure to get out to Live Casino. Adirondack Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800.
Commanders are back home next Sunday against the Cowboys. Hopefully by that point, Jaden Daniels' ribs are okay because they can say that was an impact last night. Yeah. They didn't throw the ball past 5 yards downfield last night. Like, it was pretty clear that Jaden Daniels was compromised in that game, and they just weren't letting on to it. And if he wasn't, then there's a bigger problem. If he wasn't, then what the hell is Cliff Kingsbury doing? Yeah. Because they didn't throw the ball downfield at all last night as the Eagles ultimately kind of cruised to victory in the fourth quarter. Once they finally figured out, right, Saquon Barkley, right, we have him.
Amazing how when a great player ends up playing for a not shit team.
Yeah, it is incredible how that works, isn't it? It's incredible how that works.
Kind of like Cole Irvin when he went from the A's to the O's.
Right. And you got to see the best version of Cole. Well, you did for stretches.
Yeah.
For stretches of about 8 games, you saw a really good version of Cole Irvin, and unfortunately, no more of it. It's a bummer. Great guy. Could not be a better guy. Appreciate everything he did for the animals in our community.
Yep.
Love Cole Irvin the person. Just a bummer that it did not work out for Cole Irvin the pitcher. When we come back in, we will talk more about the Orioles offseason. Karl Ravech wants to see them be active in the hot stove market. He'll join us next. Stands here. It's a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we are winding down hour number 1 of the program.
You just want me to text you, Stan, when it starts?
That's not
I'm on such pins and needles over this.
Yeah.
You know.
There's
the
zero
Tyson,
chance.
Jake Paul.
0%.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Maryland basketball game.
Oh, that one starts at 8. Well,
that
I don't know what's on before it on Fox Sports 1. Like if it's like a NASCAR trucks race that could run long. And
I think they're having on Fox Sports 1. Okay.
Yeah.
On Netflix though tonight at 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, there's an undercard.
There's an undercard.
Yeah. but you're not going to get me to watch. You're just not going to get me to watch this fight.
Yeah, but
I
Floyd
don't care.
Mayweather's not fighting.
That's true. What was the awful Floyd Mayweather fight that we watched
Conor
together?
McGregor.
The Conor McGregor thing. We watched that one
What a
together.
great fight.
God, that was an abomination. Yeah. What an abomination.
You did like a Glenn Clark radio live stream reaction kind of thing?
No, Stan had everybody over to his house to watch the fight. Stan was like,
I invited you.
I think it predates.
Yeah,
I think you invited Kyle Ottenheimer. I think that was
get us confused.
In fact, the Stan, I always appreciated when Stan would buy the fights because then he'd invite us all over and he'd say, just bring like some beer or something.
Right.
And then on the way out, whatever beer you brought, he would just give right back to you if nobody drank it. Like, I don't want it at my house. Right. And I'd say, Stan, well, it's a gift. Like, I brought it as a thank you for ordering the fight. He's like, I don't want to get it. Take it out. I'm like, all right.
Now I charge money.
Now, that's not bad. That's probably the right way to go about
Don't
doing
bring
it.
beer. Just bring cash.
Bring cash. That's what I expect is cash. Yeah, you can't. You cannot get me. I don't care if there's nothing else on at that time. I am not watching the fight. You just cannot get me to do it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That's where we are.
Would you be happy if Tyson gets hurt in the fight?
No. Why would I be happy about that?
Okay.
Just
curious.
Just curious. I don't want to see any of that. Hey, I was perusing Twitter this week, and I saw a point that our next guest had to make, and I know exactly where he's coming from, and I think it's an opinion that is shared by a lot of people in our city. He said, the Orioles play in the AL East with new ownership and the best young core of the players in the game. They should be interested in every free agent available. They should be in the market to trade for any player. This is the Orioles' time, not just the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Yankees. Joining us now, a man that synonymous with baseball and ESPN. He is our friend, Mr. Karl Ravech, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Karl, it's Glenn and Stan Charles here in Baltimore. It's always great to chat with you. Thank you for taking some time for us.
My pleasure, Glenn. Stan, how are you guys? Happy holiday season to you. I got crushed for that because I left the Rays out, but the Rays seem to never be in the same waters that those other teams should be swimming in.
Yeah. No question. Karl, it's good to talk to you.
So,
you
Karl,
too, my friend.
I'm in this place where I think everybody in this city agrees with what you're saying. We are still struggling with exactly what the line is for the new ownership and for Mike Elias as to whether or not and is part of this, like you alluding to, the fact that they haven't been tied yet to some of the top free agents. Maybe you're disappointed by the fact that you're not hearing the Orioles in connection with the top guys on the market.
Yeah, I would only say that, organizations behave differently. Some like it to be known that they're out there and whether John Heyman is mentioning their teams or Buster or Passan are mentioning their particular teams may not necessarily imply the Orioles are out on them. But it would be nice as an Oriole fan to see that we are involved with all that. And, for years you lived under Angelos, and there were times, during his tenure where he did spend on free agents and there was success and people filled the building. It's just very, very obvious that right now we have an Academy Award winning performance out there and we better win the award instead of just being the team that's nominated for it. Mm-hmm. And that's my point. So how do the Orioles, and I don't say we as in Orioles, I say we as in I try to, as a broadcaster, and I think I've told this to you before, I try to play the role of the fan for any team we're doing. And if we're doing, obviously, two teams, then I'm speaking as a fan of, let's say, the Braves and the Orioles. In this case, you just keep hearing about, and certainly around Soto, those four teams, it was bizarre to me that the Orioles were either conspicuous by their absence, purposely not advertising that they're in on them, but why the heck shouldn't they be? Like this makes more sense than anything to me, especially in light of the Santander free agency. Like you got to replace that guy if you're not bringing him back. But I get a little tired. I would if I were an Orioles fan of seeing Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays. I'm putting my hand up. What about us? We're in the classroom. We're right here.
Karl, I look, man, I would love for the Orioles to be on Juan Soto. Who wouldn't, right? I think there's this natural fear among Orioles fans. Well, if you do that, is that the only thing that you're going to do? And it doesn't feel like
but don't you think, Glenn, we got to get shouldn't we be Is there going to be a point where past that sort of anxiety?
I hope.
And again, the ownership's got to show it. That's
Right.
That's going to be the key. And Rubenstein and my friend Mike Arrighetti and others, they need to show it. Let's show it.
Well, I have no great insights, but I did hear that he spoke at a synagogue the other night. He spoke at Beth Tefillah Synagogue, David Rubenstein, and was asked that very question about the what kind of expenditures they're going to make. And I heard he said just the opposite. We're going to spend pretty heavily to put a team out there. I don't know if it involves Soto or not, but my guess is it's not. But that doesn't mean that they won't do a real representative job at patching the holes that this club has, which are, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I would say that I would absolutely. I don't subscribe that Juan Soto is the Zithromax for all that ails kids during the school year when we get runny noses. Like put them on a Z-Pack and say, like bad. Juan Soto is not a Z-Pack. He doesn't cure everything. It was just more of in that particular instance, these other teams were mentioned and the Orioles weren't. But if I were putting the Yankees together, I'm not necessarily sure that the way I would build them, given what they already have, is to just bring back Juan Soto. Like, no, it didn't work once, and it likely won't work again. Like, baseball is a game of accumulation. It's not a game of one star. And nobody more than Ohtani is the greatest, most recent example. When he played with Mike Trout, and Mike was healthy, you had two of the most dominant players in the game on the same team who barely got to the playoffs. Now Ohtani surrounds himself with Freeman and Betts and then all of a sudden pitching staff that's pitching out of their minds in the postseason. That's how you win World Series. So for all those teams, Soto is part of the answer. I don't know a team in which he's the answer. Unless he goes to like maybe the Seattle Mariners, who clearly can pitch the heck out of the baseball.
Yep.
They don't hit.
Quick question from me on the pitching side of things. Do you find, I wrote a piece yesterday where I threw out 4 names, and unlike the clickbait articles, I made it clear it was my opinion. I mentioned Walker Buehler at the top of the list for the Orioles. Is he a risk worth taking, or do you think the Dodgers won't let him leave the building?
Well, the Dodgers may let him leave the building only out of the fact that they would hopefully, in their case, have so many other options that Buehler isn't at the top of the list. So he could absolutely walk out of the building, assuming health returns to the Glasnows of the world. They certainly could be in on Rossi, the next guy to come out of Japan. So it depends on what they end up with. Look, I love Buehler. I thought what he did in the postseason was reflective of somebody who's now back on the upswing.
Yep.
But look, whether it's Buehler or Flaherty, you find me a pitcher who doesn't come with risk.
Yep.
I just think you're going to need what we've learned is you need a lot of bullpen pieces, and you need as many starters as you can get, because invariably they're going to get hurt or miss time.
Boy, the Orioles know about that from a year ago, right? Where they lost half their rotation.
And I love Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah,
I love Grayson Rodriguez.
Sure, but we would have been talking. Now, look, they stopped hitting, so it's hard to say that the problem with the team is that Kyle Bradish, but like they did stop hitting. That is the other part of the problem.
Yep, they did.
Karl Ravech is with us here on GCR. Karl, 2 names the Orioles have been tied to, and in a world where likely Corbin Burns and, to your point, Anthony Santander would be gone, it would feel like Max Fried does make a lot to try to get more right-handed hitters in your lineup to take advantage of the left field wall. Like, it does seem like it would make a lot of sense for Max Fried to be near the top of the list of what you're pursuing pitching-wise.
Yeah, he would be. And again, because you guys are dealing from such a massive position of strength organizationally, Garrett Crochet is another one.
Right.
I mean, you absolutely could do that. But what Fried did last year was pretty special. He always is a good fastball guy. It's amazing because we talk about right-handed hitters, and obviously it's a graveyard, but he's a 96th percentile guy when it comes to ground ball ratio. So he keeps the ball on the ground, but certainly in the ballpark, you're trying to encourage the opposing manager to to throw as many right-handed bats up there as you can, given the canyon that's out in left field. But I mean, he's a predominant, ground ball guy. That's why anybody, Fried, Crochet, left-handed starters make sense. And Crochet, we talk about guys that, and this was maybe a Grayson issue, and maybe this is why he gets injuries. You talk about accumulating innings and seeing those numbers go up every year. Fried is going to be 31 next year. His innings pitched occasionally run into issues of injury. 2022, 185, 23, 77. Last year, 174. So those innings are coming down, but it's very easy objectively to love everything about Max Fried. Like, especially when you seem to need a big game. We've seen that from him in the postseason. He can deliver. I'd love to see Crochet. But again, the bigger issue, guys, from all this is that the Orioles need to be in every one of these conversations with these other teams. They have to be.
Can I follow? And by the way, I know Teoscar Hernandez is another name that they've been tied to. Incredible.
I think he's a good fit.
And would be a great fit, right?
Yep.
But if I could go back to Crochet for a second, it is going to cost you. Like, the White Sox are going to need a top hitting prospect in order to make that trade.
They should.
And to your point, the Orioles have lots of them. But what we just said, right? Like, they stopped hitting last year. Can they afford, if it's Basayo, if it's Mayo that it costs, can a team that ran out of bats a year ago afford to be trading away their top hitting prospects right now to try to address their pitching staff?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Crochet is 26. I mean, there are certain things and again, you go on track record, and certainly you go on track record at the major league level. So Crochet has proven his ability to do this at the major league level. Some of those other names you just mentioned haven't really proven their ability to do it at a major league level. I go with the guy that is especially young, 25, in his prime, Crochet, and take a risk on him more than I would, a Kobe Mayo. I don't know what Kobe Mayo is going to become, but I can't sit there. I think we've had this conversation too. I can't sit there and worry about trading away somebody that someday he's going to become great in an effort to sort of block my ability to make that deal. Look, I drafted these guys. I trust my system. I trust my evaluators. I trust my information. He's supposed to be really good. So is Garrett Crochet already is really good. So I never understood the GM who hedges the bet against the guy that's out there doing what is exceptional versus somebody they think is going to do that. And again, he's supposed to. I hope Mayo goes off and has a phenomenal career. I would hope that Heston Kjerstad is a great hitter. He's supposed to be. We're not going to trade crap away. We drafted the guy. We know how good he is. We traded for him. He's supposed to be good, but we also know that Garrett Crochet is really good. So you make the deal. Otherwise, it's almost an indictment on your ability to continue to find great draft picks. Like, I've done it. I can't keep doing it. Like, no, you're great at it. Don't worry about that part.
Carl, I got to ask you the $64,000 64,000-pound elephant in the room question. The player that was by far the most disappointing player on the Orioles last year on the offensive side was Adley Rutschman. I mean, from about June 15th on, hit on, I think, under 200
Double-A
the rest
player.
of the he was just absolutely awful. How do you assess what you're hoping to do with him? In other words, now, are you still
assuming he's
Adley Rutschman, or do you now have to retrench and say he's got to reprove himself, or do they know privately that there was an injury and he'll be back to Adley Rutschman?
Yeah, great questions, especially the last part. You never know. I mean, this is why the criticisms of managers is always a difficult thing, because they know about issues within the clubhouse, within the trainer's room that we're just never privy to. The idea that his average exit velocity was in the 29th percentile, his barrel rate was in the 30th, and his hard hit rate was 28, that makes no sense. I mean, that's not who this guy has ever been. And last year, that's what happened. Now, Will that continue? I'd certainly lean into no. But look, I think there have been certainly indications from the way he's performed that Adley, it may very well be that he's a West Coast guy. That's where he's from. That's where he wants to end up. I have no idea. Oregon State, whatever. But I would lean into he is Adley Rutschman. The two parts that we don't know: A, as you mentioned, any injury, and B, the player and the player's desire and the player's heart and the player's willingness to say, well, that sucked, and now what am I going to do to make it better? And every box that Rutschman would be required to check in favor of Adley Rutschman on that side of it is all checked. Like, there's never been a doubt about work ethic, about his willingness to get behind the plate and play a lot of games, to deal with injuries. Catchers are always hurt. I mean, let's be honest. It's a brutal position to be productive from. And whether he ever moves out from behind the plate to avoid any of those foul balls and injuries, I have no idea. I know he loves to catch. I know he's really good at it. But if they're going to make this connection somehow at some point in his career, the best thing for you to do is to get out from behind the plate and be an everyday, first baseman or DH first baseman, whatever it might be, because we want you to hit and be healthy. Then that may be something they do. But I'd lean into Adley Rutschman returning to form because of the player and because let's hope this was aberrational. But yeah, there's some concern. You guys just talked about, do you trade for pitcher X and is there risk? Of course, there's risk in buying into Adley. Is Adley Rutschman somebody you're willing to trade? I'm sure other organizations covet Adley Rutschman, covet Adley.
And then I guess I would be remiss if I didn't say, do you still look at Jackson Holliday like he's Jackson? I can't imagine that we suddenly, because the first year when he was 20 years old didn't go exactly the way we thought, that we feel dramatically different about it. But I do think there are still questions about, like, positionally, where should he be playing? What's the best way to get the best version of Jackson Holliday moving forward?
Yeah, and I think that's sort of endemic to the Orioles because they have so many players. And look, beyond the analytics and the words that we all now have learned, or the terms that we've all learned, and XFIP and WOBA, et cetera, the other one that everybody understands now, which certainly applies to so many, is versatility. And that's what these teams live for, like versatility. Where are they playing? Where's Jose Iglesias going to play next year? What team is he going to be playing? But is he going to be a second baseman? Is he going to be a third baseman? He was phenomenal for the Mets, but part of his success was he bounced all over the place. Where does Jackson Holliday go? He's versatile enough to play a variety of positions on the infield. You have an unbelievable shortstop there. But if you removed the team they were playing for, and let's just say they were the same age and they were at a showcase, do you draft Jackson Holliday or do you draft Gunnar Henderson? All else being equal, with no past. You don't know anything about them. They haven't played a major league game. Like, who do you draft?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
It's a fair question.
So
I'll just throw out
all this versatility, and that's part. It's a blessing and a curse. I mean, that's the beautiful part of the Orioles. However, we got to have these hard conversations. Okay, we have three of the same guy, and I'm not saying they do, but here's a hypothetical. We have two of the same guy. We know we need to improve in this area. Are we willing to give up one of the two great players to bring in two or three or four pieces that would make us universally better? Hard conversations to have, no doubt about it.
Karl, I'll just say one thing about versatility with Jackson Holliday. After they drafted him, I was talking to Omar Minaya one day in Baltimore. And he had scouted him intensively because the Mets had the 9th pick that year. And going into the season, they thought they had a shot to get him. And I asked him, I said, could he, if Gunnar Henderson is as good as he looks like he could be, could Jackson Holliday play center field? And he said, absolutely. So that's just a thought. I had one other question for you, and it's off the Orioles beaten trail. and correct me if I'm wrong. You worked with Aaron Boone closely, right? You were the play-by-play guy.
Yep. Yeah.
The Boone on television was always so kind of gregarious, happy, just uplifting. When I watch him manage now, he never looks like he's having a good time at all. I know you know him personally. Does he enjoy what he's doing?
That's a great question, and I would say how much did Brandon Hyde enjoy the first half of last year?
Yeah, tremendous.
How much did he really like the second half?
Yeah.
I mean, how much did he change? And I ask that because I think, having done the American League postseason on the radio through the championship series, so was with Aaron Boone at both the division series and the championship series, I will say, and again, I don't know if he had a conversation with Brian Cashman. I don't know if he was given word that regardless of the outcome at some point here in this postseason, whether we win a World Series or lose it, you're coming back. There appeared to be, and this speaks to the relationship that I have with him, but there appeared to be a lifting of the clouds that are constantly overhead. Yeah. He was looser. He was happier. And I will say that having worked with him for so long and knowing him on a personal level, we do get exposed to that. Uh-huh. But I think for all these coaches and managers, whether it's baseball or college basketball, if for some reason you show that you're enjoying something and the team isn't winning every single game, fans will be like, what the hell is he laughing about?
Right.
How can he be enjoying this? We're not 1,100 games ahead. We haven't won the World Series. He can't have fun. This is serious. Are you kidding me? And that's an unfortunate bar that these men and women who are in these positions are held to. It's lunacy. He is one of the funniest people I've ever met. But to your point, unless he's arguing with an umpire, which has now taken on somewhat of a humorous sort of tone to it, there's not a lot of joy in Mudville, and that's sad. I mean, that part stinks.
Yeah.
Not that every job should be a lot of fun and laughs and yucks, but there should be some of that. And I know he enjoyed it. I know he loves the competition of it. But Hyde is a great example. First half, he was happier than a pig, and you know what?
Yep.
Second half, he was just swimming in that stuff and not enjoying it very much.
Carl, what's on the docket for you basketball-wise?
Head out to, of all places, Las Vegas for Duke and Kansas coming up in a couple of weeks. Tuesday, that's a good game.
Yeah, that's
Tuesday
not bad.
Before Christmas.
Right.
No, that's a good one.
Don't you need Don't you need an assistant?
A spotter, yeah.
We
can't send Stan out with you for Vegas.
I need a tour guide. I'm not very big into the Vegas thing. I need somebody to help, move me around.
I can help you that way too.
You got me covered there.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like. And then January we'll get into the conference stuff.
It's a bummer that Maryland's the Big Ten's gone away from ESPN because we missed that. But we of course always appreciate you at Karl Ravech ESPN. Is how you follow him. Carl, thank you for doing this morning. Really enjoyed it. We'd love to chat again real soon, all right?
Anytime, boys. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, great.
It's Karl Ravech from ESPN with us here on GCR. Yeah, he's really, really good. Appreciate him taking the time.
He likes me, unlike Tirico.
Yeah, it's still a blood feud that exists to this day. I'll never understand it. I've never gotten answers, but
no, I can talk about it now.
Oh,
there was
a statute of limitations.
There was a woman.
Oh boy,
it's always about a woman.
Always the way it works. Yeah. Look, I'm really intrigued by Max Fried. I really am, but it ain't gonna be cheap. Just because it's not like, is Corbin Burns gonna get more money? Yes, but that doesn't mean that Max Fried is gonna be cheap. It's gonna be very costly. And to Karl Ravech's point, for a pitcher past 30. And
I think he's going to end up with the Dodgers, Fried. And that's why I think that Buehler will be out of there. I think, in other words, they've got so much money to throw at things.
I get it.
I think that there's a shot that the Orioles could be aggressive with Buehler. And again, not like a 5-year deal.
Right.
Like a 2+1 option,
I'm not saying
you're not excited.
I'm not saying
by
no to Walker. I want to make that abundantly clear. This is
Yeah.
not me saying like, hell, that would be insane. It's just we have the most recent sample that we have to work with is not the guy that you'd want to be super invested in. And I get it. Like, we could get to a couple weeks from now, look around at the market, and all of a sudden I could say, boy, they damn well better get Walker Buehler.
Yep.
But today, that thing that you're talking about, if David Rubenstein really did go in front of Beth DeFillo
That's what
and
I
say,
heard. Yeah.
We're planning on spending, then I would like for there to be something that sticks more than Walker Buehler to show this is how things are different. This is how we're doing things. We are going to win one of these battles. We're going to say it's not about the money. We need this player. We want to go win a World Series. And it doesn't mean that it's Max Fried or bust. I'm not suggesting that.
What's your gut feeling on Fried? 30 a year?
I think so, yes. Yeah. I think for sure. I think they're,
So 120 or 150?
Yeah, I think 120. I think a lot of people believe 120 is about the neighborhood, which...
He'd be perfect for the ballpark. There's no question about it.
Exactly the type of pitcher that you should be looking for that ballpark. And the Teoscar Hernandez thing is extraordinarily intriguing.
I think I think he fits because I think they're going to really go after Soto, the Dodgers.
Right.
My piece is up. I wrote it.
God, it's almost embarrassing that, like, if they get Juan Soto on top of having already – my God.
The team that I think is really going to go all out for him is Toronto. I think Toronto is going to make a major
It
bid.
feels like Toronto is the team that you use to get the deal that you really want to get from someone else.
Feels that way.
It just it almost you feel bad for the Blue Jays. It feels like they are the team. Yeah, not really. Yeah. You're right. You don't really feel bad for them, but it just genuinely feels like how do we drive the market up as much as we possibly can? Toronto is the way to do it.
Yep.
That they will.
They just might be. They may overreact to what happened to them last year.
So sick of losing on this that they say whatever the number is.
We got to give our fan base whatever it is. Like 15 years. And seriously, when you're dealing with the number of years you're talking about here, do they really think that the difference between 13 and 15 years is going to break the Toronto Blue Jays?
Half of these people aren't going to be involved. We're not going to be involved with this when we get to that point. So
Mark Shapiro will be 82 years old.
We're giving funny money away at that point. It's not ours. Let's do it because right now we need the payoff of saying we did.
I want to be clear, by the way, what I heard about Rubenstein's comments wasn't like, hey, we're going to be competing with the Dodgers, the Yankees, and Steve Cohen. We're going to be aggressive.
I appreciate you.
I just wanted to clarify.
I appreciate you clarifying that. I would still say aggressive will be noted if aggressive is landing someone that you would have not expected the Orioles to land under previous ownership. That to me,
that's not a real high bar under the financial constraints they were under John.
To be fair, and you could argue that Walker Buehler isn't a guy that they would have landed under.
That's my opinion, right? And I wrote the piece I wrote. By the way, I wrote about four arms: Nick Pivetta, Walker Buehler, Yusei Kikuchi, and Sean Manaea. And I said that the real move is to sign two of them.
Well, I mean, signing two would be a little bit because I could argue that Walker Buehler is not dramatically different than signing Ubaldo Jimenez. Like the money might be a little bit more, but that's inflation as much as it is anything else. Yeah. That's about neutral with good pitcher. But it's not.
He's good pitcher with the ability. If you look at his numbers up until he got hurt,
great.
He was great.
There's no question about that. He has been great. My point would be the way that you show that it's different is
get the guy who's great right now.
Correct. Yeah. Topping that. But to your point, if you're able to get Buehler and Pivetta, that would be something different than what we're used to the Orioles doing. Yeah. To go out and get multiple pitchers in one offseason to fortify.
And then potentially trade Kramer, include him in a deal. In other words, fortify the rotation. I think you'd agree that all four pitchers are somewhat better than Kramer. I don't dislike. I don't dislike Kramer at all.
I really hate talking about Dean Kramer, Stan, because he's such a likable guy.
Yeah, he's terrific,
and you appreciate his bulldog mentality. And there are moments where he is really good.
Yep.
But you also know what he is. There's too much evidence now for us to keep convincing ourselves that he's a guy that you're going to trust to pitch Game 3 of a playoff series.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
There's just no way.
He's a real good 4 that flirts with being a good 3, but he's not
when he's at his best.
When he's at his best,
right.
he's really solid.
Right.
You know?
But there is a limitation to exactly what it is that you're getting.
So these guys are upsides, but I still think a team like the Angels would be attracted to Dean Kramer, and maybe there's a Mountcastle, Kramer deal for Mike Trout.
I don't think that's going to be the one. I just would be very surprised if that ended
Taylor
up being
Ward
the answer.
and Reed Detmers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure. Yes. I'm not saying no, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm jealous of the Yankees. If you didn't see it yesterday, Dave Sims leaving the Seattle Mariners to replace
guy.
John Sterling. Great guy, great broadcaster, great everything,
and a great fit.
Yep.
And my sister-in-law, Sue, I texted her last night. I said, I thought you'd be interested in this. They were high school buddies.
Oh, really?
And she's maintained a friendship with Dave Sims for 40-some years.
He's one of the best friends to everybody in this business.
Great dude.
Incredible guy and unbelievably good broadcaster. Obviously, he's done Westwood One football over the years on top of doing the Mariners. And
me and Tarico?
Yes.
That's the relationship he has with Susan Waldman.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding.
That would be very uncomfortable.
I'm kidding.
That'd be really uncomfortable.
They'll get along great.
I'm very jealous of Yankees fans because Dave Sims.
I know. Well, we're going to have to hear the highlights anyway, so,
I guess that's true.
Yeah,
I guess that's a good point. We will hear Dave Sims highlights. And look, it'll give us more excuses to talk to Dave Sims during the course of the year, which is something that I enjoy a great deal. So I'm a fan of that. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to run by you from a baseball standpoint this week, but I've already forgotten.
The Robinson Martinez signing?
It's the big. Well, that and the machine. They got him and the machine. Those are the. David. He said that they were going to be more aggressive. They've already
brought in a lot of guys.
Robinson Martinez and the machine.
And
what more could you ask
who's
for?
the kid? Renee Pinto.
That's right, and Renee Pinto. This has been
a whirlwind,
right? This has been.
Could Cash Patel be next?
What a week! What a week! What a week!
One of the worst weeks.
What a week! What a week! You joke, but I think we're only about 2 days away from. I think we're one more Jets loss away from finding out what Aaron Rodgers' role in the administration is going to be. I think we are one more. They lose to the Colts on Sunday. I think next
He'll retire on the spot.
I don't know that because he doesn't have to retire. He could just say, "I'm going to play out the rest of the season," and then starting on.
He'll join Doge or whatever. And,
100%. I think there is a non-zero chance that we are one loss away from finding out what Aaron Rodgers.
If you want to read this on the air, my wife sent this to me.
Okay.
Last night.
Hang on a second. You're not. Yeah, that is probably about what's next on the list.
We are 3 seconds away from the My Pillow guy becoming Surgeon General.
Hey, dog. This is the way it works. The elections have consequences.
Yes, they
That's
do.
the way that it goes. Yeah. And some people will convince themselves they're very excited about that.
Which department are you going to head? Do you know yet?
I don't even know what I joked about this. We should all pick what okay, here's what I'll do. Now, if this is where we are, we're just hiring totally unqualified people for jobs, then which one do I take? I feel like for me, I'd want to be if I had to have a job, I think I'd go with HUD. I think that I'm really look at me. I'm very qualified for HUD. I think everybody could see that. If you just look at me, you say.
You mean like Paul Newman, HUD?
Exactly.
Paul Newman.
That's what I mean.
I'm in charge of foreign affairs.
I think that's a good role for you. I think that's and Griffin, you're going to be the Small Business Administration, correct?
I know everything about business.
The role that you were gonna take
there's
on.
nothing that I don't know.
He's going to be in the communication, internal affairs.
No, I thought you were saying he's going to be the press secretary.
No, he's not going to be. He's not going to be that. But
imagine Griffin up at the podium.
I can see him explaining now that you got to put your card in correctly.
100%. All right, I know you're going to get out of here. We're going to get the segment number 3 of the Arthur Maulet Show when we come back in.
And then who you having later?
Mike Sando from The Athletic is going to join us.
Oh, my God.
To tell us why Lamar Jackson is even better than you think he is this year.
Really?
So,
Damn.
There you go. How about that for a week?
All right, I'm going to listen to it later.
You got a show planned for next week?
No.
Okay.
Stein's not available. I may roll with something because he's been a little under the weather, and maybe I might.
Okay, all right.
Because I was sort of pegging it to when he was available, and I did that this week, and he wasn't available anyway, so I might do something
At
like that.
Stan the Fan on Twitter is how you follow him. Are you headed to Blue Sky? Are you joining everybody over there?
Yeah.
We're on Blue Sky, by the way, Glenn Clark Radio. We're just not doing anything with it yet. I don't know. We can figure out there's an app that can share to both, maybe.
Real quick, want to remind folks that the Maryland Athletic Hall of Fame banquet is this Thursday, coming up on the 21st at, I want to double check that date. Is that Thursday?
That would be the, yes.
At Martin's West, and Tim Kirchin's going in, Al Bumbry's going in, a whole host of other luminaries.
Joe Ehrman, of course.
Joe Ehrman,
100%.
Ralph Regent's going in. And Skinner, the former basketball player.
Calvin Skinner.
Yep. Calvin Skinner.
Kyle Beckerman, U.S. men's national team legend, going in as well. So, that is next week. That's unbelievable.
Good event.
November 21st. And you can go to mdsahof.com if you want to find out more.
If you could give that a plug on Monday.
Sure will.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Stan. Appreciate you. When we come back in, we'll get you segment number 3 of the Arthur Maulet Show. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Maulet, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Maulet Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet. The Arthur Maulet Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Maulet Show is Tuesday, November 19th at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill on Harford Road. It's brought to you by Easy Pass and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Project Game Day is back this Sunday immediately following Ravens Steelers. Come on over to PressBoxOnline.com/gameday and hang out with us as myself, Rita, Super Bowl champion Femi Imbadejo, KZ, Stecca will all be reacting immediately following the game. Whatever happens, PressBoxOnline.com/gameday. It's brought to you by Easy Pass. It's brought to you by Easy Pass, the Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, as well as by our friends at HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. Again, we are aware that we don't know what's going on with Arthur Maulet because he was in the locker room in a boot. But we had a great show on Tuesday night. And so right now, we're going to bring you segment number 3, the Arthur Maulet Show, with special guest Tavius Robinson. Third and final segment, it's the Arthur Maulet Show, PressBox 105.7 The Fan. Glenn and Rita, Arthur, and Tavius Robinson, live from Mother's North Grille in Timonium. How many now? Let me make sure I get it right. Now-laters?
Yep, there you go.
Now-laters?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
You learn
How
fast,
many
bro.
have you already consumed this evening?
I ate some before I left here. Before I left to come here, I think we got at 4. I think I ate probably 7 or 8 now-laters.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
I mean, bro.
Yeah. Hey, make your trip to the game easy by saving
No
the
cavities,
easy.
though.
That's true. Look at you. Look at you. Make your trip to the game easy by saving the Easy Pass waive for tolls. Go to driveeasymd.com. That's driveeasymd.com. So, yeah, the last time we saw you was right before Halloween.
Yeah.
And you were raving about...
I was raving about how I was going to get the rookies costumes and make them wear them. And I go play against Cleveland, and KV hits me, and I get a neck injury, so I can't dress up. And the rookies... I can't force them to dress up for Halloween. So, you know what? It's all good. We have Thanksgiving and we have Christmas.
Wait a second.
I might get a turkey costume
No, you won't.
for him.
No, you won't.
I might get some turkey hats
No, you
for
won't.
him. Hey, I will do anything to embarrass a couple rookies because I got embarrassed my rookie year. So they're not going, before they leave this year,
They have to wear
they are going to... They're going to get it.
They're going to wear
They're
some
going to get it.
form of
They're going to get it.
costume of
They're
some
going to get
sort.
it, and they're going to be mad. And I don't care. You're going to have to wear it, because I'm not wasting my money for you not to wear it for the whole day.
I love this. I love this.
And they're going to have to decorate the room, the defensive room, for
Christmas.
Christmas.
Okay.
They about to get put to work.
Do you wait a second? Do you you judge that? It has to be to a standard.
I'm going to
however?
buy it, and they're going to have to, do their little thing. They're going to have to do it. And
Are
if
you
it's
getting
bad,
a real are you getting a tree, or is this just decorations
I'll get a
around the
little
room?
artificial tree. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get them some banners, some fake snow,
Okay.
and all that good stuff. So yeah, man, some stockings.
Yeah.
Tavius, was there any rookie?
Yeah, what did you have to do
as
for
a
a
rookie?
rookie?
Did you have any?
I brought wings to the plane.
Oh.
Every game.
Not only for the D-line, basically
Oh, for everybody?
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
okay.
Basically
Hey, wait.
I
How
feel
many?
like this is a normal
200
practice, though, that we've heard.
every away game.
Whoa.
Or maybe it was 100.
You had to get 100 wings
Yeah.
for every
Away-
flight.
Yeah, every away game.
Did
yeah.
you have to go to the same place? Was it the same?
Yeah, America's Best.
Okay.
Yeah, same
And-
4 flavors.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
What would the penalty have been? So you weren't the only rookie at that point.
No,
What
no.
did other rookies have to provide? Other?
Yeah, so it was food for basically your position group. So some position groups would have Chick-fil-A specific things, but I brought the wings, and then it turned into everybody getting the wings. Everyone on the team getting the wings.
See, you're gonna be in the league for a long time. You're gonna be in the league for a long time. That's what happened to me. You know what I'm saying?
Who was it that said that they did this and almost missed the
Me.
flight? It was you? Okay, I'm sorry. I knew somebody did that.
I had to go to Pop. I was playing for New Orleans at the time, and it was my rookie year. And I'm calling them, and I messed up because I got the order right. I should have got the order wrong. So when I got the order right, they're like, "Oh, we can depend on Arthur. He's gonna get the order right. He's gonna make sure we got the sauces and the right chicken strips because they love Popeyes down there. Because
Right.
Louisiana,
Well,
the Popeyes
it's
chicken
different.
is
It
different
is
from
different.
everywhere else.
Yes.
So I messed up and got the order right. So Kenny Vaccaro, all these guys are like, you know what, Arthur, you got the order for the rest of the year. I'm like, every away game, I got to get the Popeyes. This specific week, we're playing the Vikings. I literally can't find my keys. I feel like they hit him. Till this day, I feel like they hit my keys. I'm scrambling. I'm going all over the place. Can't find my keys. Had to call an Uber. Go to Popeyes. Luckily, I put the order in on time. Get the order. I'm telling the Uber driver I played for the Saints. He's like, oh, my gosh, can I get the stuff? I'm like, bro, can you just get me to the airport?
Gotta get
Like,
the plane,
please, I
right.
got to get to the plane. And I called my coach. I'm like, Coach. Aaron Glenn, defense coordinator for the Lions right now.
Yes.
I'm like, Coach, I don't think I'm going to make it on time. I might have to leave the Popeyes. He said, you will not get on the plane if you don't bring the Popeyes. Because I want my corn on the cob and my chicken.
That's right.
And I'm like, bro, like, seriously? And all you see me is with my luggage, my backpack, my duffel, 3 big bags of Popeyes, running to the plane, and everybody got their phones out like, And so, you know, it paid off. 8 years later, I'm still in the league. So, you know,
Okay,
rookie duties really pay off.
What
man.
about this season, though? Is that still going on? Who's in charge of
does
what? Tavius is confident that it's still happening.
Yeah, Dees would be hooking up with the wings now.
Yeah,
So Dees is in charge of the wings.
Job, yeah.
All right, like in the secondary, Sanusi, anybody like that?
Sanusi does a good job. We have 3. We have 3 rookies right now.
Right, Nate,
Sanusi,
and
Nate,
Bo.
and
Bo.
Bo Braid.
Yeah.
So, you know, they kind of alternate jobs. But
What is it? What
one
do you-
one week they didn't have wings, and I didn't eat before I got on the plane. I was really mad, and I was like, "See, that's why the vets was like, you better bring that chicken." You feel me? So now I know. So they've been doing a good job so far, though.
You mentioned the Lions, the Aaron Glenn obviously is the Lions. You haven't seen this picture or video of
With the
James.
ice.
You haven't seen James Houston from this past week, have you? Oh, hang on a second. I'm going to need to show you this.
saw it?
James Houston played in the game on Sunday night, and everybody on the planet noticed something about James Houston. And his explanation, I don't know how believable it is. James Houston had a really unfortunate-looking. Well, I'm going to show it to you. That was James Houston, and that was the stain on his pants on Sunday night. I don't know if y'all saw that.
So he had an accident.
So no. So James claims.
What happened?
He claims he sat down on the bench and there was spilled Gatorade on the bench.
It looks like.
You buy that?
Yeah,
I think
it
that's
looks like some
plausible.
lemon lime.
You buy that as being
Because we
plausible.
have lemon lime Gatorade. It's the lemon lime and it's water. That's
Okay.
it. It's the same color. It's literally like yellow oranges, like
All right.
lemon lime.
All right.
I can believe him. Yeah.
All right. I was really struggling.
I don't think a guy would just pee on himself.
No.
Oh, it's definitely
Maybe it doesn't happen in the modern NFL,
Yeah.
but there were some guys that used to
Yeah.
play in this city that would
Yeah, we've heard stories.
They did not
Oh,
care.
yes.
Oh, you dirty guy. No way.
In fact, I'm
I'm
wearing,
not
of course,
doing
the I'm wearing the Goose Flights jacket tonight. The late great Tony Sarah
Yep,
Goose.
Goose was the main one. Yeah.
Man, he didn't care.
I heard college stories of guys doing it, and I'll just be like, bro, just tell coach take you out right now and go run to the bathroom.
So speaking of college.
Oh,
yeah.
Uh-oh.
They got
This
Have
is,
you
this
guys
is
ever-
supposed to be the.
You've had cream of crab soup before.
I've had, but they said this is the
Mother's
best
cream of crab soup is excellent. Tavius, you never had cream of
No,
crab
it's my
soup?
first time right here.
All right.
So
Can we
You're-
do a
you're a
live
cream of
like
crab
taste test?
virgin.
you want to do a live taste
Yeah,
test?
I just wanna see how you
Let's
feel
see.
about it. This is
So
the
like,
first-
okay, so I've had it before. So do I take the crackers and crunch it up
can.
and put
You
it
can do
in?
it however you
or-
prefer.
You can. It
And
doesn't.
everybody's like, no,
it
no,
does
just
not,
go straight
yeah,
spoon.
It doesn't need
Straight
it.
spoon.
Yeah,
All
it
right,
doesn't
straight
need it. I would not personally.
All right, let's see, T-Rob. Let's
Yeah,
see what
right.
we got.
Let's
see.
see.
What we got, T-Rob.
We need a live taste test of
Let's
the
see.
cream of crab soup here at Mother's North Grill in Timonium.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like that.
Tavius, have you been a seafood guy? Like, were you a seafood guy at all growing up when you got here? Were
I
you?
didn't even want to eat on the show, but we might have to
That's
cut
why I
this.
came here.
We might not get him back the rest of the segment. This might be the end of the
So
show.
bland.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be more Rita and Glenn here the rest of the way.
Reed and Glenn take over.
Yeah, it's good. It's real good.
It
I'ma
has to
save
be
that.
good because Tavius is.
I'm glad this is the last segment.
That's like his
I'm glad this is the
Spotify.
last segment. Shout out to mothers, man.
Remember, you can book
Thank you.
your holiday parties on the
Shout out
back
to Mothers.
patio space here at Mother's. Yeah, you can't put enough Old Bay either.
That's right, because you know this
can't-
is the Old
yeah,
Bay town
yeah,
around here.
You can't put enough
See,
Old
that's
Bay.
why I like Baltimore, man. You know, I'm from New Orleans, and we use
So
Old
y'all
Bay,
like
and
seasoning,
we like that
exactly,
Old Bay,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
Man, mothersgrill.com. You want to book your holiday parties for out here on the back patio. They got the heaters. It is a wonderful place for an event. We love doing the show out here. All right, we're going to try to wrap up. We're going to try to go through.
All right, let's finish, bro.
Raven.
Tavius is eating
Tavius
almost half
halfway
of it
done.
already.
I'm over here being modest.
Yeah.
He's like, bro.
All right.
You see, he didn't say a word.
Right.
He was like, let me just go ahead and eat
That's really
this
good,
soup.
though.
And I'm not mad.
That's the best.
It's really good.
Shout out
it's
to
really
Mothers,
good
man.
here. Since the last time we talked, one of your old teammates in Pittsburgh is now here with you in Baltimore.
Oh, Deontay.
Deontay Johnson,
Yeah.
right? Like, what was your relationship like with Deontay?
We was locker buddies.
Really?
Yeah, he was like my
neighbors?
locker partner. Yeah,
That's cool, man.
Yeah, he was literally right next to me, man. Shout out to have my dog back, man. You know, obviously has to get up to speed. You know, it's a moving train when you're, have a prolific offense like that, and you have so many weapons. So, they're obviously trying to figure out where they want to put him at and kind of get him in a space where he can be successful, right? And it takes time, but I'm excited to have him. He can beat man coverage. He's very slippery. He's a good run after catch guy. So once he gets up to speed, I'm excited to see what he can do for us.
Could you sense how excited he was? Like, this isn't about disparaging
there's
anybody.
a video, too, right, of him talking to Eric DaCosta on the phone. And I think it was like on TikTok. And he was talking about being traded. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to let you down. And, he seemed excited about, hey, listen, coming from the Carolina Panthers, I got to assume that.
You can't be too. Hey, man.
Can't be too picky about that.
Anything's better than Carolina over there. I don't even throw shade at teams like that, but sheesh.
Or maybe the Giants
we just saw some
now.
stuff on Carolina where it's like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he did, come off excited to,
Yeah, I
be coming
can't
to
imagine.
Baltimore.
I mean, if I was on Carolina coming playing, no offense to Bryce Young, he's might be great in his future, but coming from Bryce Young to MV3,
yeah.
I'll be excited too.
1,000%.
I'll be excited too.
1,000%.
I'll be excited.
We talked about old friends.
I get to see my best friends.
So tell me about PQ.
Patrick Queen.
Tell me about PQ.
Nah, man, that's my brother, bro. Like, regardless of where he plays at, what he does, that's my brother, Obviously, I had to troll him about him saying that Pittsburgh was the better city. I'm just
the audacity to suggest they had better food in Pittsburgh.
that's where
by
I
the
was
way.
just kind of
like, get the entire hell out of here.
I know they paid you, but I know they paid you well. I get it, but come on, bro.
Yeah. That's your guy.
No, that's my guy, man. I'm excited
You told
to
us
see him.
before the show that you might have heard some chirping from Patrick Queen.
Oh no, I haven't. Like,
Okay,
I don't get into the chirping, bro. When it comes to football, with me, it's all business. Obviously that's my brother. I want him to be healthy and successful and not make too many plays against us, but he can make plays against other people. but when it comes to business, we're trying to handle business. I'll talk to him after the game.
So I wanted to talk to both of you guys about that, right, Tavius? Because we the week of the Buccaneers game, Baker Mayfield led on, like, he and Mark Andrews legitimately best friends. Like, Mark was in his wedding. Like, that's – and then
his little feelings was
Baker
hurt, though.
said in the season, Mark won't return a text.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it goes. You guys have friends all over the league, guys you played in college with, guys that that were on the team last year. Tavius, how are you – like the week leading up to the game, the day before the game, do you go say hello, or you say like, nah, we can do all that afterwards?
I think it's like what Art said, like it's business. So until the game is over,
Yeah,
and zeros, I'll come smile, dap you up, take pictures of it. But until that,
until
it's
then,
game.
yeah.
So y'all don't even like, obviously you guys get there the night before. Y'all don't like see.
What?
Okay.
See, that's enemy
Y'all don't
territory.
You don't go to dinner with
Dinner?
Okay, well, I was just I'm putting it on the record.
No.
I'm just putting this on the record, friend.
Nah.
Y'all,
We're friends, but we ain't friends like that to get dinner.
Okay, all right.
Not this week.
Especially this week.
Okay. So never.
season.
This never happens. You never do it.
I would never do that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm playing against my
I'm
other
very
opponent.
sorry that I asked the question.
Dinner? Never.
The audacity.
It's a cardinal sin.
And it's funny because, like, we've had Justice Hill. You've brought Justice Hill on here before, and, his brother plays for the Bengals. And I'm always like, well, what happens, like, when he comes here or when they go there? Do they, like, see each other before the game? Or is it, this is my enemy, and then he's my brother when it's over?
I mean, I never played with my brother, right?
I had a guy I grew up with that I played with, you know what I'm saying? We were really, really close. And then we started playing against each other, and I'm like, bro, I don't want to talk to you right now.
Okay.
You're not about to butter me up. Like, you're not about to butter me up. I don't like you right now.
Got you.
Don't get in my way.
You got to keep that game face.
Yeah.
You just got to keep that game
I mean,
face.
I think it's just business, man. But like I said, like, all health to him. Like, don't make too many plays out there, PQ. Chill.
That's that.
Chill out.
And obviously, you have other
Talk to you
friends.
after
You
the
have
game.
other friends on that
Oh, yeah,
team, for
plenty.
Sure,
and I will
right?
not be talking to any of them.
100%. Like, don't be
Do
waiting
not try
for
to
a
dap me
text.
up. Arthur, no. No.
Not even before the game, huh?
No.
Okay, afterward. All right.
We are allergic to saying nice things about Mike Tomlin in this city, but we know Mike Tomlin's he's a damn good coach. There's no question about that.
I don't even try to hide it anymore.
I tell a lot of people, man, like, you know, he kind of jump-started my career again. He kind of gave me another position because before I went to Pittsburgh and signed with him, I was in New York and New Orleans, and I played corner and safety. And, you know, when I signed with Pittsburgh, he was like, you know what, bro, you're a nickel. We obviously had Mike Hilton before, and he saw the similarities, right? And it was my first year playing, and I played pretty decent in my second year. I blew it out the water. And, you know, I shout him out for that, for knowing how to put players in certain positions to be successful, right, to extend their careers or give them the opportunity to be successful, you know. So, you know, he is a GOAT at that aspect. But I'm not going to smiler like him. But, nah, that's my dog.
I think that Mike Tomlin is a guy, like, you know, it is very we understand that you're not supposed to like your divisional rivals, right? But Mike Tomlin makes it very hard. And one of the examples that...
Other than that time he tripped Jacoby.
Well, yeah. You know, other than that time.
Oh, I totally didn't know you were there.
My favorite thing, though, is that, he was asked about Jaden and Lamar, and he was like, basically put some respect on Mr. Jackson's name. And so even though, they hate each other, the respect is there, and I think we all acknowledge how great of a coach that Mike Tomlin is, regardless.
Tavius, before we let you go, you have a multi-sack game, right? Like, do you then have to change your routine? Do you have to do things? Are you a superstitious guy? Or is there anything you did against the Broncos? I ask because if it requires us flying in a meal from somewhere or something like that, then we got to make sure we get it to you in Pittsburgh on Sunday.
Honestly, I do the same thing every game. So I eat the same thing the night before. I know exactly what I'm wearing.
What are you eating?
Yeah.
What are you eating?
It's an Alfredo pasta with chicken, shrimp, and mushrooms.
Okay.
And then I'll have a good 4 or 5 wings, whether it's on the plane or at night.
What kind of wings?
Honey lemon pepper.
All right.
And then I know exactly what I'm gonna wear.
You lay it out like school, right?
But is it the same
yeah, you're my type of guy.
Well,
man. You gotta
away
lay the
games, I
outfit
always
out.
wear a sweatsuit. I don't wear no fancy nothing, so I just have a easy. Don't have to think about it. Wake up, go play football. So that's.
I love that. I love that.
Routine.
I'm just very glad that you didn't say that, if we win or lose, I don't wash, my drawers, hey.
Who does that?
Patrick Mahomes.
The stanky.
Yeah.
No, we found it. Did you hear the other one this
Stanky
week?
booty.
Oh, yeah, the
Syracuse coach said if they lose, he won't shower because he, quote, doesn't deserve soap.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a thing.
I hope they win. Hope they win.
Me too.
Go get them dubs, Syracuse, baby. Go get them dubs.
Y'all make some noise for Tavius Robinson and Arthur
Shout
Maulet
out to
one more
Tavius, man.
time,
Thank you for
please.
pulling up for me, bro.
Tavius, is there anything we can plug for you that you have going on? We know you're going to be partnered back up with Grade 8's Grade 8's Baltimore, grade8sbaltimore.com, but anything else, social media like that people can be giving you a follow?
Yeah, you guys can get me on Instagram at Tavius Robinson. But other than that, just appreciate you guys having me. It was fun.
Man, we appreciate you being out here. We appreciate it a lot. Hey, if you're struggling with addiction, stigma can keep people from reaching out, but there is help available. For more information on what you can do about addiction, go to stopoverdose.maryland.gov. We're back in action.
All right,
next
week. We will be back in action as long as
back
everybody's available on Tuesday night at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill on Harford Road. Hope you'll come out and join us for that. The next Arthur Maulet Show, PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet. And if you missed any of that, you can find it in the greatest hits as well, and YouTube and Facebook and everywhere you find our content. The entire show is up there. All right. Still more to do here on a Friday edition of GCR. Today's show is brought to you by the print issue of PressBox, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all. PressBoxOnline.com. Big game for Maryland basketball tonight against Marquette. Before that, read up about this Baltimore-built duo of Juju Reese and Derek Queen, who have reunited in College Park. Looking to bring Maryland basketball back to prominence. Go get that print issue right now. Your neighborhood Royal Farms. You can read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Lots of college hoops inside this issue. And again, it is available. It is for free. And we'll be out for another few weeks before our annual Best of issue hits newsstands. We are working on that right now. Not just, obviously, the Maryland game, but also the Hall of Fame doubleheader. We'll tell you more about that when we get to Totally Tubular here in a second. But before we do that, we're going to wind down the week and everything that we've been doing, getting ready for Ravens Steelers. We all know Lamar Jackson's been great this season, but just how great? Well, our next guest tells us it's maybe even better than you think. He put up the Quarterback Betrayal Index this week over at The Athletic, where it looks at how quarterbacks are performing relative to how defenses and special teams units are performing. And, yeah, it gives even greater context to the season that Lamar Jackson is having. He's our friend Mike Sando, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is one of my – I enjoy doing this type of thing because it provides kind of context on wins and losses and performance. And I think what Lamar's doing is different than what he's done before, and it's different from what almost anybody does. You just don't go 7-3 with the way they play defense, special teams.
Yeah, it's funny because before the season we were fighting about quarterback tiers, and now I feel like this year there's a quarterback tier of one, and it's not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Mike, it's interesting because obviously the depressing part about this is how bad the Ravens defense and special teams have been, and that's really concerning. But to the point, like, how many times have we ever seen this, that a quarterback betrayal rating of negative 31 because the player who was the best quarterback in the league had literally the worst special teams and defense to work with?
Yeah, well, you've seen you don't see it with this type of record. I mean, Joe Burrow is somewhat similar this year.
Right.
He just, because he's lost twice to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens by the narrowest of margins, he has a losing record. So, some of these, if you live on this edge too much, I mean, you're not going to win. He's not going to win 70% forever with it going this way, right? Nobody does. And that was the point of the piece. But he's been better than others in doing this even before. So I looked at not just the games when your defense, special teams were below average. I also looked at when they're horrible, when they're like so bad that the league at large wins like 15% of the time, right? And he's 3-1 in those games this season. He's 7-6 in those for his career, which I wouldn't have guessed. I mean, I didn't. That's unusual because even the all-time great Tom Brady's 18-25 in those games. Peyton Manning 22-32. Breeze 27-54. Those guys are winning whatever 40% or less, and they're the best. They're the best records in those games if you have a lot of them. Lamar only has 13 of them, but he's 7-6 in them. That is really unusual. 3-1 this year in games where the rest of the league is 5-45.
Jesus.
So there's something. He's doing something. This is really different. I think that context is super important, and especially if this year there's another playoff exit. You can't blame it on Lamar if he's doing this type of stuff.
Well,
you have to give him credit in spite of it,
So it's interesting for a couple of reasons, right? Because, like, first, I think the obvious thing to say is, like, with all due respect to the other MVP candidates, at the moment, there's one, right? Like, at the moment. Yeah. And look, there's still time left in the season. Things can change. But at the moment, there's one. I think the other question is, Mike, I know that as adults we're all supposed to say this isn't sustainable, right? And I think that's the correct thing to say. But I'm going to turn around and ask the opposite question. Is it possible that Lamar Jackson and what they've tapped into with this offense with Derrick Henry is so good that even if it doesn't significantly improve, like it might be difficult to be number 32, to be the worst, but even if it doesn't significantly improve, are we seeing something from Lamar and from this offense that might be able to continue to overcome the defense not being that good?
I think, overcome to be competitive and maybe win most of your games, possibly. But I don't think it's allows you to advance all the way and win the Super Bowl, right? Because you're gonna get in a game where the offense has an off day, or these defenses are good. We've seen it in the division. I was doing Kansas City radio the other day. Why does Denver always have Patrick Mahomes' number? And I'm like, well, if you look at their production against the whole division isn't the same, right? So now we're going to go to Pittsburgh this week, right? We're going to play Pittsburgh. And it hasn't been as good against them offensively, right? You're going to have someone's going to solve your offense in a given week because the defensive coaches are too good, right? So that's the problem is, yes, maybe you can win more than most in those games, but you're not going to do it week after week against the top defenses because you're going to have an off day.
I hear you, but like they did it against Denver's defense, right? Like we just saw Denver's defense and back. Like this is the point.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. This is going to sound crazy, Mike. I know what you're saying is right, but right, like I keep coming back to. I'm seeing something that I've never witnessed before. I've never seen this. Like it does not matter what you're doing defensively. Like you cannot keep these guys in check for 4 quarters. It just can't.
But that was the Commanders 3 weeks ago.
That's fair, but with a rookie quarterback, right? Like I don't know. I maybe it's incredible hubris, and I don't. It's absurd to suggest that Lamar Jackson is just better than any quarterback that's ever played. Like we know that's not true, but what's happening is different than anything I've ever seen before. Does that make sense?
Agreed. It does. No, it does. To win at this clip in those situations doesn't happen. Now, if you're going to have 5 games in a row just like that game against the Bengals, you're going to lose 2 of them. Isn't that just true?
Yeah, the likelihood would be that like you're not everything.
I mean, they just about lost that game.
Right, but okay, you say that, right? But this is the funny part, Mike. I don't think that it matters what happens on that 2-point conversion because they had 39 seconds left in 2 timeouts. And that's where I'm at with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Like
they might have.
Right? Like I'm just
But you're going to I mean a few plays before there's it's just about intercepted. Things are just going to happen. You can't be that perfect.
Right.
You can't be that perfect. It's not a bad reflection on anybody. I'm just saying it's amazing what they're doing, but if you try to do it too many times, you'll lose. Doing anything that's on the edge, anything in life, right? That's a little bit high risk, like it's going to catch you one time. And the fact that they're not undefeated.
Right. And by the way, I also think to your point, the bigger problem is they've shot themselves in the foot, right? And that still happens sometimes. Like that still occurs. Mike Sando from The Athletic is with us, and we're going to link up his quarterback betrayal index on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio so you can check it out. And Mike, I guess what I'm saying is I probably agree that like it's not sustainable being the worst, right? Like being this ungodly bad. I think my point is more like they don't need to be good defensively. Like if they could just be somewhere around like the 20th to 22nd pass defense, I think that's good enough. Like that if they're just little bit better than what they've been, that to me with this offense can be good enough to win the Super Bowl.
I totally agree. Yeah, I do agree that you don't have to it's hard to overcome if you're like historically bad or way at the bottom. And that was one of the things I wrote about in the story was there was 3 years when the Saints, Drew Brees was thrown for 5,000 yards every year, and they were under 500 because they were historically bad. 2014, 15, 16. This Ravens team isn't to that level, but we'd like to see it come up just an octave or two, right? Just sort of get to where it's not the story every week, and it's just you can be mid, be the 20th, like you said, be 20th. Then you've got a really great formula.
And that's where I'm at. And I also don't, we all default back to that we acknowledge that like December, January football is different, right? Like that said, I did this week dive into, like the rankings. There are a lot of bad defenses that have won Super Bowls. Like they just are.
Yeah.
And, I'm not suggesting the worst, although I think that one of the Giants' defenses was really bad, was amongst the worst. And we all remember the 06 Colts, who had the worst run defense in the
Well,
NFL.
yeah, but they got Bob Sanders back.
Right.
So
and that
Colts team in the playoffs, Peyton Manning in the playoffs had 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions,
it's wild, right?
and they played lights out defense in the playoffs. So, I've done the study of there's a reason why Joe Flacco has as many Super Bowl wins as Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, and it's not because he's as elite as them.
Oh no,
it's because those guys always had the bottom 5, bottom 10 defenses. And when did Aaron Rodgers win the Super Bowl? The one year they were top 5. When did Brees win the Super Bowl? The one year they were top 10. So if you want to be Tom Brady and win all the Super Bowls, or you want to get multiple like Roethlisberger, or you want to go a couple years in a row like Seattle did, or always, if you're always good on defense, special teams, you have a huge advantage. Those other guys are Hall of Fame quarterbacks with 1 Super Bowl win because they were never in the top 10.
The irony, of course, being that that Ravens defense in 2012 wasn't very good. That's the irony in it, and it required.
Well, Joe played amazing.
Yeah, right, just a heater, just an
fire.
Absolute heater, right? That's what it required.
So if Lamar does that,
Lamar
does that, they'll win it. But obviously,
yes, you'd like to have a larger margin for error. Yes, there's no doubt about that. It's funny, Mike.
And you're going to get everybody's absolute best game plan in the playoffs.
Yeah, I keep coming back to that. I know you're right, and part of it just goes back to a year ago, but they say, well, that's what happened with the Chiefs, except for you were complicit, and you just decided to help by not running the football. So
no doubt, they should have won the game. But what happened in 2019? Because the stats for 19 and 24 for the Ravens are identical.
Yeah,
identical.
Yeah.
What happened at the end of that year? I'm trying to remember. Was that the Tennessee game?
Yeah, that was the Tennessee game. That was the Derrick Henry, right? They got Derrick Henry. They came out.
Hey, they got him on their team.
100%. They got punched in the mouth early, and the Ravens were not used. They were just playing bully ball all season.
Yeah.
And panicked and had no idea what to do when bully ball wasn't going to be an option. And
Lamar's better now. Obviously.
It's unbelievable. And to take nothing away, 2019 Lamar Jackson was really good. This guy is something that it really is. We traipse in hyperbole, and you worry that you get caught up in these things. But I don't know how to describe when people say things like there's a possibility that Lamar Jackson is proving already that he is going to go down as one of the 5 most talented quarterbacks to play the game. I don't know that that's hyperbole at this point. It's I don't know.
Well,
anymore.
the word talented is is he needs we want to get him into the greatest,
right?
Which
that's
is
a different. That's defined. Yeah, that's defined by winning.
It's defined by winning later, and that's been the frustration to this point is just they've been so good defense special teams and haven't been able to do it. And so the irony would be if now they finally do it when they don't have that.
So
that would actually reflect better on Lamar.
It would be a hell of a statement, wouldn't it?
Because what people don't realize is I think Patrick Mahomes a few years ago when they were bad on defense special teams won the Super Bowl anyway. It's very unusual. If you look at the great championship quarterbacks, 70s, Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowls, great defense. Roger Staubach, great doomsday defense.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s, who allowed the fewest points in the 80s? It was the 49ers.
Yep.
Joe Montana, 4 Super Bowls, but they had great defenses.
Yep.
Great Hall of Famers. You get into the into the 90s, Brett Favre, Troy Aikman. They had great defenses. Reggie White, are you kidding me? The Jimmy Johnson defenses were amazing. Tom Brady, great defenses the whole time. You don't have guys winning and being the greatest quarterbacks with all these championships without having that. And so, that's what's been great. That's why I think Baltimore's done a great job in having that, even with paid quarterbacks for 15 years. 10, 15 years, they've had great defense special teams, and now they're trying to do it without it.
Until this
Maybe
year.
Lamar can overcome it.
Until this year. Well, and to the point, Mike, when you bring in special teams, as concerned as I am about the defense, in a strange way, it's almost as concerning, if not more, what's going on with Justin Tucker. Because the point that I made about the end of the Bengals game, where I say, hey, they got 39 seconds left. In a world where I say you've got 39 seconds, 2 timeouts, and Justin Tucker, you only need 25 yards in those 39 seconds. But there is something different this year, and that is as concerning, which is if you're playing with a smaller margin for error because of your defense and you get to that late-game situation where you need points, all of a sudden you're not nearly as confident that you can just get those points from anywhere on the field.
I totally agree. I mean, and some of these games have been close that the Ravens have won.
Right.
So, you're not gonna. In fact, one of the things I was just going to call up here as we looked at the average margin of victory or average point differential per game for right now is 6.5 for the Ravens. It was 11.9 last year. So that's an amazing thing for showing the margins, right? And in 2022, their average was 2.1. 2019, it was 15.6, like you said. They never had to play those close games. But if you're now, even with this great offense, you're winning by 6.5 a game, you're going to need the kick.
Yep.
To win the AFC Championship game, right? That's just the way these games come down to. You could be playing Burrow in the same type of game.
Nope, no doubt about it. And that is a concern. That is a serious
Or
concern.
Mahomes right now, who's going to have give Lamar 6 drives for the whole game.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, that's you can't. And again, like last week, the Ravens actually got off. They struggled, and that's the funny part about what's going on. Is I would say they could actually be much better offensively than what they were last week, which is crazy because you turn around, they scored 35 points, but they were 3 and out on all drive but one until the middle of the third quarter. It's just that all of a sudden they flipped the switch, and then they were unstoppable from there. But yeah,
how about this? How about 5 games decided by between 3 by 5 points or closer?
Mike, is that not just the NFL though this season? Like, did I?
Oh no, it is.
Yeah.
Oh no, that I'm just saying for a kick.
Right.
I'm just saying for 100%. In those types of games, a kick is going to, possibly be the difference in the game, and their special teams probably cost them the Raider game.
Yes. Yeah. Ironically, at that point, we thought all the kickers are making their kicks. Suddenly, in the last 2 weeks, all the kickers have stopped making their kicks again. Jake Elliott can't make a kick. Harrison Butker isn't even going to play.
I can't wait for the trend story on that, how kickers have suddenly lost it. Because when they're making it, it's like, oh, my gosh, these guys are practicing
Mike,
in a different way.
It was the
totally
greatest
different.
year in kicking history. Like, it was unprecedented. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, no one can make a kick. I don't know how to explain.
And the thing about kicking that I'm always entertained by is no one has a fix for the cold kicker. They just cut him.
Right.
Like there's not like the coach is going to be like, all right, yeah, we worked out some things.
You know what? It's so
funny
funny you say that, Mike, because we don't know how to talk about Justin Tucker right now. We really don't. Because I know, to your point, the answer is not the Ravens cut Justin Tucker. Because if you do that, you run the risk of him being the kicker that signs with another team and is Justin Tucker again and kicks you out of the playoffs. Like, you can't do that. But he's
got too much equity.
Oh, yeah, and that's also a huge part of it, too. But what do you do? Like, what do you do when your kickers – what is the game plan for these teams when your kicker is struggling?
Well, so look at the 49ers had Jake Moody miss like 3 last week.
Yeah.
But they used a third-round pick for him, so John Lynch is out there. We have total confidence in him.
Right.
If they signed that guy on August 30th this year, he'd be cut already.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But my point is there's not like you can go on the internet and – hey, JT O'Sullivan, Kurt Warner, they're breaking down what the quarterbacks are doing. They're looking at. There's no kicker guy who's going, oh, here's what he's got to do to get this back. Right? It's like putting.
You think
guys just kind of lose it?
We haven't called Jay Feely like 3 times already this season, trying to get some in-depth analysis.
But Jay went through, Jay went through ups and downs where he probably just had to work his way out of them.
And that's what he tells us every time we call. He's like, stop. It's Justin Tucker. He's going to be fine. Stop.
Or it's like shooting in basketball. You're going to have hot days and bad days. Anybody, even if you're a recreational player, you've all had a day where you couldn't miss, and then you had a day where you couldn't make it. And the problem is in kicking, every shot matters so much that if you have a bad month, that may be it.
Yeah, we've just been very spoiled in this city that hasn't been a problem for a very long time. We've been very used to the idea that, wherever you are in the field, you're only a couple of yards away from 3 points. So, yeah, that's the story. That's the storyline for sure. Mike, this is always great, man. What else is coming up for you?
Well, I'm going to have my Pick 6 column on Monday. I'm not exactly sure what road I'm going down, but we've got good matchups this week.
Yeah.
So there should be some fun fallout, right, with some of these contenders playing each other. So looking forward to that.
At Sando NFL is how you follow him. And, again, we've linked up the Quarterback Betrayal Index right now. You can find it on The Athletic or just go to our Twitter account, @GlennClarkRadio, and it's linked there as well. Mike, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mike Sando from The Athletic with us here on GCR. Again, I'm in this tough place. I know he's right. But my point still remains that I just think the offense might be good enough that it might not matter. And again, nobody's saying that it's okay to be the worst pass defense. I think they have to be slightly better, slightly. But I don't know that it has to dramatically change because I think the offense is the story. But come Monday, we could be having a completely different conversation. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Griffin, what's going on at Live Casino?
You're getting $7 in free slot play every time that there is a touchdown scored during home games for Baltimore or Washington's football teams this season. You have to have your Live Rewards cards. Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards cards inserted correctly into the slot machine and are actively playing, they get $7 in free slot play every touchdown during home games this season for Baltimore or Washington. Adderall Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, what you got?
We were talking about the kicker, the kickers thing. Jake Elliott, so yesterday, missed 3 different kicks, missed 2 field goals and an extra point. I couldn't find too many other stats about this, but the last time an Eagles kicker did this was 1977, missing 2
that
kicks.
was obviously Ray Farminghausenshire.
Close.
Yeah.
Ovi
Mahaley.
Ovi Johansson.
Etchkin.
Yeah, Ovi Etchkin. Maybe it was just Ove. I don't know. It was OVE was his first name. Ove Johansson in
can't
week
help
11.
On this one.
Also week 11 of 1977.
How about that?
Yeah.
They should just probably not kick
don't
in
kick
week
during
11
week.
games. Just 2-point conversions, 4th down, they go for it.
Pretty wild stat. Saquon Barkley obviously had a great game last night. He brought his season average.
Oh, is it obvious though? Is it obvious that he had a great game last night?
That's what I said. Yeah. Did I miss?
I feel like there'd be room for debate in there.
You think so? Yeah. He brought his season-long rushing yards per game second half average up to 73.8. 73.8 yards per game in the second half alone this season. And that is the best, that at the moment, that is the highest mark.
It's one of the storylines going into the Steelers game. The Steelers are the best second half team in football this season. So, But again, some of that has been them using the run to set up what they're doing. So I don't know, but that is it is something to have filed away. They're the best second half team in football this year.
Dante Klopowitz Fleming from NFL Research has the top 4 in the past 30 seasons.
Second half running backs?
Yeah, second half rushing yards.
I mean, Derrick Henry would make sense.
Derrick Henry this season is about half a yard behind Saquon Barkley now after Saquon's last night. So he is 73.2.
Unfortunately, in Tennessee, they were kind of trailing a good bit. Yeah. They didn't have the same ability to just pound away in the second half.
The other 2 on the top 4 list here are before 2000.
Okay. The other 4 before the other 2 were before 2000. Emmitt Smith.
Not Emmitt Smith.
Walter Payton.
Not Walter Payton. Too far back. Last 30 years.
Oh,
so 94. Yeah.
Right. So specifically between 94 and 2000.
Now. And these, yeah.
So Sean Alexander.
Not Sean Alexander.
Has been the answer for so many things recently that it wasn't going to surprise me. Jerome Bettis.
Mm-mm.
Edgerrin James.
I think you're before 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. No, nothing.
I mean, those guys started before 2000.
Okay.
They didn't finish before 2000. Maybe Edgerrin. No, Edgerrin James. It would have been right around there. Jerome Bettis definitely started before 2000. Because 2006 was his last season, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Was his last season. Marshall Faulk.
Not Marshall Faulk. Edgerrin James did start in 99, so I guess you could have been right.
Just call it Terrell Davis.
Not Terrell Davis.
Thurman Thomas.
Not Thurman Thomas.
Curtis Martin.
Not Curtis Martin.
Jesus Christ.
You want the years? 1 was 1997, 1 was 1998.
One was
second half of running backs.
98. That's why it's a little surprising it's not Terrell Davis. I'll try Barry Sanders, but
Barry Sanders in 1997.
See why that's surprising is the Lions lost so much that it's surprising. I guess they just didn't care.
Yeah,
and
they
just
were
kept
like,
running
well,
the
this is
football.
ours.
Yeah. Right.
He averaged 68.6 yards in the second half of 1997. Second half of games in 97.
And 98, is that Ricky Williams?
Not Ricky Williams.
How about, is that?
Just looking at his stats, this was really his only
good
great year.
Oh, is that the Dirty Bird? Is that Jamal Anderson?
Jamal Anderson. 70.8.
Jamal Anderson is the reason I once had dinner with Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas and
What?
actor Josh Duhamel. Jamal Anderson was a regular. He lived in Arizona, and he just came on the radio show to talk football with us once a week because he just liked doing it.
Don't blame him.
And one day, he just called the hotline. He's like, "What are you doing after the show?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "I'm hanging out. I'm working out with Josh Duhamel and Fergie." I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, they came over to my house. I'm training them for a workout today." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "Come over." All right. And so I did. And so famously, the year the Black Eyed Peas played the Super Bowl halftime show, there was I say famously, like it's not famous. I've told the story a few times.
The famous Glenn Clark Fergie dinner. Yeah.
No, they have a thing where and I don't know if they still do it because I haven't gone to the Super Bowl in years. But for years, they would bring the halftime performer, parade them through Media Row just to do an interview on the NFL Network set, which was set up in the middle of Radio Row. And it was pandemonium because it was like the biggest celebrity. Like Bruce Springsteen is just walking through all of these podunk radio shows in Sheboygan and Tyler, Texas. And here's just Bruce Springsteen just walking right past you. You're rubbing elbows with them. So the year it was the Black Eyed Peas, despite the fact that the Black Eyed Peas definitively the worst of the Super Bowl halftime performers. And I would say probably the I don't know. They're very famous though. So
they were the worst.
They were the worst. They were awful. They were really bad. I mean, I don't hate this. All right, I don't want to get into a Black Eyed Peas thing. Before Fergie joined the group, the Black Eyed Peas were really good. Really good.
Do you think Fergie brought them down?
Oh, I mean, they just became a pop music. They just sounded like every other crap, pop. But they were a really great hip-hop group before Fergie joined the band.
In the place.
Thank you. So
if you want to get
they had a couple of decent pop songs. Let's Get It Started, which, of course, everyone knows was a different thing, and they just couldn't say that on the radio. That was a good pop song. They've had some good pop songs. They've also had a lot of boom, boom, boom. That is not a good.
Boom,
that
boom,
is
was great.
Low rent as low rent gets. My kids are obsessed with.
Boom, boom,
I don't know if it's them or if it's just Will.i.am. They did a cover of "I Like to Move It" for one of the Madagascar soundtracks.
Oh yeah,
awful. One of the worst songs I've heard in my life.
Black Eyed Peas was definitely a staple of my elementary childhood.
Anyway, so
they were amazing. When I first got an iPod, I remember,
they parade the Black Eyed Peas
was playing over and over
through all of the unwashed, all of the losers.
Right up the
Thank you. They parade them through. All right, enough. They parade them through.
You're right, we're gonna get tagged here.
It's the Dallas Super Bowl week when, I told you, everybody's punch drunk because it snowed and they didn't have a plow in Dallas. It's just the weirdest week ever. And Drew and I are doing these 12-hour radio days because we're up at 4 a.m. to start the morning show at 5 a.m. local time. And then we're doing all of we're doing that and the afternoon show. Jeez. And then during the middle of the day, you don't even get a break because you're going to record interviews that you can air, if that's when people are available. So we're punch drunk. Just disaster. So the Black Eyed Peas are parading through, and somebody says, my friend Marty, who worked for the sports station out in San Diego, she says, "Oh, Fergie's right there," right? Walking right past us. And so I yell over. I'm like, "Hey, Fergie." Nothing. And then I say, "Remember having dinner with me and Jamal Anderson in Phoenix?" And I swear to God, she turns around and she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, hey, hi," and waves. And everybody, because this is a major star, everyone near us is like, "Dude, holy crap, you're friends with Fergie? What?" And she's waving. She's like, "I had so much fun." She's legitimately having a conversation with me. And now, all of a sudden, the guy that owns a radio station is like, "Come over, sit with..." And they've got to go do this interview on the NFL Network. That's not happening. But people are filming this "Dude, are you legitimately friends with Fergie?" They think that I'm close personal friends with Fergie from this one interaction that I had with her.
Meanwhile, little they know that you absolutely despise her.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. But she couldn't have been nicer. This dinner that we had, she and Josh Duhamel, because they were married, I don't know if they still are, they could not have been nicer, and they were very cool to hang out with, and we had many drinks and a great time hanging out at Jamal Anderson's house. But that's my connection. The Dirty Bird.
Congratulations, I guess.
Jamal Anderson. All right, you ready to do
Ritmo?
You ready to do? Stop it already. If that's what do you have more
There's got to be one more song I can
No,
do,
I
right?
thought you had more tidbits.
Oh, sure, yeah, because
No,
I don't
we
think
gotta-
well, it's a quick one. I don't think I'll ever really do it again this season because this just isn't going to stand. At the moment, Drake London and Darnell Mooney are both top 8 in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns this season. If they somehow both finish top 8, they would be the third receiver duo in the last 30 years to be top 8 in both
30 years
in yards and touchdowns, receiving yards.
Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Yep, 2000. What year?
I have no idea. Just tell me.
06.
Chris Carter and Randy Moss.
2 for 2.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
it's a big moment.
Yeah, well, no, why? That there's the only 2.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
said that 3 others. So
Well, they would be the
Got
third.
it.
Drake
They
London
got
and
it.
Darnell
Got it.
Mooney would have, of course,
Well,
joined
my
the
next
illustrious
guess was
list.
going to be Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. I'm glad I didn't guess them ahead of the other 2. I'm glad I guessed in that order. Look at that.
Yeah.
Let's go home with that one. Very good. Now let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, Simon Habdamariam claims that I took his beer home from Stan's house, not my own beer. I think there might be 2 different stories here because I also remember once bringing like a pumpkin ale with me because it was the fall to watch a fight at Stan's house, and on the way out the door, he literally handed me that pumpkin ale right back. Like I don't drink this. I'm not going to do it. So I don't know. Maybe I made out both times. I'm not sure. All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Tonight, as we talked about, Marquette, Maryland, 8 o'clock, FS1. The events at CFG Bank Arena at 5 o'clock, Virginia and Villanova on TNT. And then at 7:30, Virginia Tech and Penn State on Peacock. Everything else tonight you can find at glennclarkradio.com.
So are we laying the 2.5 with the Terps here? What's the...
No.
No,
I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not telling you I'm betting it, but I wouldn't. I can't believe it's that close.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's that. Because if it was like 6.5, I would feel like maybe 2.5. No.
The Terps are laying 2.5. Like.
Oh, wait, they're giving 2.5?
Yes.
Get the F out of here. There's not a chance in hell.
So you're betting Marquette then?
Yes. Well, I'm not going to do that either because I don't like that. I don't do that. I don't bet against the
unless
teams.
you know.
Yeah, if I want to have any...
It's too early in the season.
No, because I don't want to be conflicted at all. I don't want to have those feelings whatsoever when I watch the game, so I don't do that. I really don't. That's a straight shoot. I do not bet like that. I don't ever want to have those feelings when I watch a game. Like, well, yeah, but I don't even like when we do it with picks, right? Like when I pick against Maryland, I don't like that either. I don't ever bet American dollars against a team that I'm rooting for. Does not happen. People do that to like protect their health. Well, that way I'm happy one way or the other. Either I'm happy my team won or I'm happy I won money.
Works.
Get the entire F out of here. All right. It's tomorrow. Let's see. Maryland plays Rutgers in football at home, 6 o'clock. That's on Fox Sports 1. Tulane Navy, big one in Annapolis, noon on ESPN 2. Towson football at noon against North Carolina A&T on Monumental. Then Towson basketball's on Monumental 2 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock against James Madison. It's a really good game. What else? ESPN Plus tomorrow. St. Peter's UMBC basketball at 2. South Carolina State, Morgan State football at 4. Masson tomorrow night. Loyola VCU basketball at 7. Morgan State hosts NJIT tomorrow at 11 a.m. on their website. Hopkins football's at McDaniel tomorrow at noon on the Centennial Conference site. And GoMaxSports.tv for Stevenson Kings football at noon. The A-Conference Championship, McDonough and Spalding, 7 o'clock tomorrow night on YouTube. Huddle has the B-Conference Championship, Pilati and Curley at 3:30. Both those games being played at Calvert Hall. On Sunday, of course, Ravens-Steelers, 1 o'clock on CBS. Everybody in the country gets Chiefs-Bills at 4:25. Fox has Seahawks-49ers as the local game at 4 o'clock. NBC has Bengals-Chargers, of course, Sunday night at 8:20. Some hoops on Sunday, Big Ten Network Plus, Towson, Maryland women at 11 a.m. before the Ravens game.
Oh.
So can spend a little time with that. ESPN Plus has Campbell Navy at 1 and Coppin State Miami at 2. Everything else can be found at glennclarkradio.com, including, of course, the stupid thing tonight, the Netflix type. I'm not even. And then tomorrow night, John Jones and Stipe Miocic.
Yeah,
that's
that'll be
10
a
o'clock
good
for
one.
ESPN
John Jones will
plus
put him away at
pay-per-view.
some point.
Yes, and then may or may not fight Tom Aspinall.
He says he doesn't want to. He's trying to duck it. Trying to duck Tom Aspinall.
They say that if he's going to fight, he's got to fight Tom Aspinall.
I mean, John Jones, he's 37.
Also, for what it's worth, Dana White is toothless. Like that guy sticking like, I'm Dana White.
They're going back to the old gloves for John.
Imagine a world in which John Jones says he's going to fight Derek Lewis or not fight anybody at all, and Dana White's like, no, you're not allowed to. I don't want to make that money. You're not allowed to get. Just shut up, clown. Like just the tough guy routine is so lame when it comes to him.
I mean, I guess like
don't get me wrong. If I think John Jones should fight Tom Aspinall, I think that would be good for the sport. But doing the things that are best or make the most sense or prioritizing what should happen within a sport over making money, that ship sailed decades ago, Chief. Stop it. Stop the tough guy act. It's embarrassing for you. Like, Dana White is so pathetic, man. Like, he's such a small man.
Yeah,
he's such a small man. I can't.
Also, I mean, yeah, John also knows that he's, he can fight whoever. He can make his fight.
That's the way it goes. That's the way this works.
But also, he is making, like, they are, the way that he just keeps saying, pushing anything Tom Aspinall related away is kind of, if that fight ever does happen.
It adds to
to
selling the fight. I agree with that if it does ever happen. Yes. And again, my opinion would be, if I still cared about this sport, which they can't let me because the UFC is a clown show operation, but like if they still allowed me to care about the sport, I would say, yes, that's the fight that should happen. But they've done this. This is not on anybody else. If John Jones really doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall because he's like Floyd Mayweather, and he just wants to protect his. I know it's technically not unbeaten because of the illegal strike,
right?
But if he just wants
they
to protect
legalized like over the last couple months, they said 12-6 elbows are now legal.
We think he could go back and appeal that in order to go down as undefeated. That'd be pretty funny.
Or he'll bring who was that? It was Matt Hamill or something. I think was that was against. Maybe they'll bring Matt Hamill back and just beat him.
Okay,
and that he'll fight him.
But
before
if that's where John Jones is, which is a bummer if that's where he is. But again, it's like the 60th worst thing about this. You can't get me to get all that worked up about it because the whole thing is a clown operation. So,
not the whole thing, but yeah,
dog.
The guy at the top, yeah.
The guy at the top, obviously. Go ahead.
The other guys, they're everyone else making an honest living. They're trying to at least.
We don't have time.
Yeah, you mentioned Paul and Tyson on Netflix at 8. Cobra Kai season 6 part 2.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, Cobra Kai season 6 part 2 on Netflix today. Season 2 of Silo on Apple TV Plus. I don't think you ever got into that, but people said it's good and it looks decent. But
I have not gotten Apple TV Plus back since the last season of Ted Lasso. So like, I did watch 2 episodes of Shrinking when I had a free trial for a baseball game, for an Oriole game, and it didn't hook me enough to. Everybody loves it, but it didn't hook me enough to say I'll pay money for Apple TV Plus again.
You can't wait for this one. It's all country on Hulu. Luke Bryan putting together just a bunch of little stories about country music artists today, like Luke Combs, Kane Brown, Shabuzi. Peyton Manning's going to be. He's not an artist, but he's in it, like talking about country music.
Cool.
It's on Hulu. Let's see. The biggest one, Twisters, is streaming now on Peacock starting today.
Free? Yeah, actually, we'll watch it.
Twisters is out this week or out now, starting today. So yeah, you're gonna buckle in, my friend.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Charlie XCX hosting SNL tomorrow, and she's the musical guest as well.
Is Charlie XCX that big that she can be the host too?
Now she is. I think she was like the musical guest twice before.
No, I know she's been the musical guest, but
it's because the Brat thing. Everybody's like obsessed with the Brat Summer, so I'm sure they'll milk that to death.
Okay.
Let's see. Yellowstone actually came back last week. Yellowstone at 8 o'clock on Sunday. New episode of that. The Landman series with Billy Bob Thornton. That premieres on Sunday night as well after Yellowstone on Paramount. The season finale of Tulsa King as well on Paramount. So big Paramount Plus day on a Sunday for everyone out there. And then also HBO 9 o'clock hour Sunday night is Dune Prophecy. So I guess you're not going to be interested in that, but it is takes 10,000 years before the ascension of Timothée Chalamet and Paul Atreides. Should be pretty good.
Cool.
I'll be into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That it?
Yeah, that's it.
Very good. Thanks today to Mike Sando. Thanks to Karl Ravech. Thanks to Bo and to Stan the Fan. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Here we go.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Game day Sunday following Ravens Steelers, PressBoxOnline.com/game day. Then we're back Monday. Evan Washburn will join us on Monday after he works the broadcast on Sunday. Very good. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa Sin, MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota, BuyAToyota.com. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys about the embarrassing thing that I did last night. I went to the movie theater.
Oh. I'm trying to think of what we saw.
Oh,
Conclave? I don't know. What's out? Gladiators next week.
Truly terrible movie.
Joker?
Nope. Truly
can't be worse than Joker.
Terrible movie. But, like, I knew it was terrible going in, and that was part of why I agreed to go, is for the joy of how bad it was going to be, and it lived up to it. Oh, it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. Spent my evening watching Red One.
Oh.
Wow. Truly
I can't wait.
Terrible film.
It's not worse than Joker 2.
A uniquely terrible film.
It is not worse than Joker 2.
Maybe so, but it is really bad. Very, very
Chris
bad.
Evans and Dwayne Johnson,
Yeah,
hanging out with me for 90
Chris
plus
Evans
minutes.
is not good in this. Like, he's supposed to be like a smarmy prick. He's not good at it. I don't know if look, man. I know this is where we get into the trutherism with The Rock. The Rock is awful. Like, The Rock conveys nothing, and it's sort of the problem with The Rock. Like, if it requires...
Just look at the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, if it requires even an ounce of, like, conveying something... You know what movie The Rock was good in? Was Skyscraper. Because it didn't require anything. Just be big. That's what you have to do in this film. Just be big. This one required more than that, and it required the two of them to try to be, like...
I just refuse
a buddy cop duo. Awful.
I just refuse that a movie with J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I know.
And a talking polar bear is going to be that bad.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. There are...
And you got The Rock.
But it was the type of bad that elicited reactions. There were 4 of us in the movie theater, by the way.
Where did you go?
Falston. I went to the movie theater in Falston to see this one. There were 4 of us in the Cinemaplex for the 9 o'clock showing of Red One last night. It was my cousin and I, and then 2 girls were watching. We were both sitting in the very back row. The 2 girls seemed to laugh, I'd say, 4 times during the film, which is 3 times more than... There was one...
I love being in an empty movie theater and laughing so loud.
If it had been funny, I would have liked to have done that. It wasn't.
How long was this movie?
It was bad. What a bad film. And I love a Hollywood or a holiday crap. You can Hollywood or I keep saying Hollywood. I mean to say holiday. Holiday dreck. You can feed to me with a spoon, but this one sucks. Sucks beyond sucks.
It was over 2 hours. Okay.
Terrible film.
That is a long. That is a long time to spend.
Just god awful.
Well, you didn't miss much in that football game either. So
I had the football game on my phone.
Yeah.
I was in the movie.
You were watching 3/4 of a 7-3 or whatever the score was. 7-3 football game.
Bad. All right, have a great weekend.
Maybe that's what happened. You took your focus off of Red One.
Yeah, right.
To watch.
Go Ravens. Go all the local teams. Duke sucks.